Nope.
Approved.
Tina is not the
Disapproved.
boss.
Tina does not drive this. Yeah, that's true.
I heard a yes.
If I can't get on
And I'm
Pornhub,
getting
you
her
can't get on
confused with the
Pornhub.
actual.
That's true.
Anything but porn? I said 4chan.
And you can't get on 410 either.
Right?
Which one was it?
No Pornhub, no 4chan.
Did 8chan ever get started out?
And I side eye you even with Reddit.
I knew
Yeah.
they
All right.
It was you
I knew
had
they
you
were
had
or
the
they lost
Yeah.
the video.
What's in the white?
I got the line.
There we
I
go.
got the notice.
We are live. Zach,
Hi, everybody.
hit the red button.
And then I forget who it was that played Laura.
Start that recording.
It was,
Vampires.
All right.
That
Are you
was
guys ready?
hot
Oh,
seat.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Hello.
Do we have openings?
Hello. Did we do an opening? What do you want
I
to do?
don't know. I don't have anything ready. I guess just go ahead and start it.
We'll just start it. Children. Are we ready to begin?
sorry, we're
is
talking
why
Twin
you're
Peaks.
All right. That's not
More
important.
ways than one.
Okay. Here we go.
Are we not cussing on this?
We're not cussing.
You get it out now.
Yeah. Well, that one I think we can get by with. All right, guys.
Okay.
Let me start. Give me room to edit. Here we go. It's the Culture Smash Cast, episode 500 for whatever date this actually is going to go live.
Yeah.
Because if you're not watching now, you're going to wait 2 weeks.
Okay.
At least.
At
That's
least. Yeah, this is a pre-recorded special.
pre-recorded 500,
Although, if
so-
anybody followed us on Facebook and they choose to watch live, they get it right now.
Right
It's
now.
a privilege of
Right here, right now.
being part of the show.
We're
All
not
right,
charging anything extra.
exactly. I'm Stephen Lackey, editor of CultureSmash.tv.
Dwayne Pate.
Yep,
I do something for Culture Smash.
once in a while.
Every so often.
Yeah,
Alan Smith, formerly of CultureSmash.tv.
yeah.
Mike Young, kind of. I'm here when
Occasional member of CultureSmash.tv.
Zach Martin, Midnight Movie Junkie.
Same.
Nicholas Qualls, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
And Tina Heimbaugh, the only set of breasts that matter in this.
That's not
I just
true.
say you
Zach's here.
have to like qualify.
Do
that.
you
I was gonna say, 'cause it's,
do you take away the value of my breasts?
Yes.
I'm fine with my breasts.
So my vagina's okay, but my breasts aren't. Okay.
no.
If our
right.
viewers like
Already
breast
started.
No, it's actually not okay.
I got
So
it
to celebrate the 500th episode, Mike, you haven't been here. We've had a little bit of this already. I had to clean out my grandma's house a few weeks ago, and in my grandfather's stuff, he's been gone a long time.
Yeah.
Found a bottle of scotch.
How old is that Scotch?
I don't know, but it tastes pretty good.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
If you don't like Scotch, we have Lantons here too.
yeah, but we're gonna hit the scotch.
I'm just
first.
gonna mix them both.
So Dwayne,
Blasphemy.
while we get started, why don't you be responsible for pouring the shots? Alan doesn't take.
Oh,
it.
no, I will
No
pour
one's,
my
no
own
one's ever
shot.
used those two words,
Yeah.
Dwayne and responsible.
I will pour my own shot.
I call
Well,
caps.
it's okay.
Really,
They won't have
yeah.
shots. Yeah. All right. So
So how many am I pouring?
how many of us are there? -1.
Okay.
6.
6. There are 7 of us
There's,
in
no,
total.
there's 7 of us total. And
Minus
So
1
there's-
is 6.
So you're pouring 6.
One plus
And
one.
that's one thing that has changed since this thing started, because you can go back, if you can find the old episodes, and hear me drunk on quite a few episodes.
That's true. This is true. And episodes of Contract TV, which we shot.
Yes.
Why are you pouring triples?
That's not a triple. It's still in a
It
shot
is a
glass.
shot.
No, it's a shot glass.
No,
It's a shot
that
glass.
is way too much
No.
for a shot.
That is
That is a shot. That's a shot glass.
Do you not know what
You
a
would,
shot is?
you would pay like $8 for that in a bar.
That's why I'm saying I'm pouring my
That's
own.
downtown prices.
Exactly.
Look at Zach. Zach's too good to share
$5,
in my
just
grandfather's scotch.
just
He's
like
got to drink
downtown.
planes.
Thank
Do you want any Lantons?
No, I'm having scotch here, buddy.
Maybe later.
All right.
Well, it's,
So-
it's a special
I'll
occasion,
take
so
Iron Man. Iron Man's
Try this
fine.
one, Mom.
I love it because Nico and I are the
Probably
only ones that
great
pay
for the
attention to the shots. So
No, there's an extra one. One for our
he
homies.
still poured it right. There you go. All right. So cheers to 500 episodes. I never anticipated we'd be this long. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised none of you have gone to jail for murder.
Exactly.
11 years
I'll
ago
be
when we
each other,
started
yeah.
this thing.
Cheers, me. Yeah.
So 500 more?
Probably.
Damn, that is
Steve, I know.
I
I
told
don't
you.
know.
It's
I
good.
know you said you have some notes, and I know we're kind of like winging this in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we're gonna wing it, and this is more of an evergreen, reminiscing episode of 10 years of a podcast.
11 years, actually.
11 years.
We started in
11
08, but
So-
I understand things happen. So
A couple of things about this show is we remain in the top 2 percentile podcasts in the country.
sweet.
Okay.
We remain right at, well, I probably shouldn't say that online, but we have been very consistent in our number of audio listeners. I'm very happy about
The
that.
question is, what's wrong with you people?
Exactly.
Yeah, why
That's
aren't we?
true. That is a good point.
Wait, why are we turning on the viewers all of a sudden?
Right?
My.
Now, we've reached the top now. You know,
Exactly.
so apparently,
That's what you're supposed
yeah.
to do once you get to a
Exactly.
point.
So now we're trying to push our way into video, which has
What was
been
it?
an
I remember
experience.
hearing Ozzy Osbourne one time say, "Be careful of people you screw over on the way up, because they're the same ones that are going to screw you over on the way back down."
Exactly. Exactly. Well, there are truer
Did you
words,
see
but that's true.
the news article where it's like Ozzy Osbourne is officially a mutant DNA wise?
That wouldn't surprise me. that would be like one of the least shocking headlines I would read this week. So.
So the way the show started, it's funny. I did the website for a long time before the show actually started.
Yeah.
Because it started because I wanted free DVDs. It's legit why it started in 2000, 2001.
Are you gonna touch on the transition from Cinegeek to?
I think so.
CultureSmash?
Yeah, I
Somebody didn't know how to change their card
Oh,
on.
my
Good.
goodness.
Yeah, I think that is what we will
was-
get to there.
yeah.
It was traumatizing to my soul.
That was an interesting night. Only hearing one end of the conversation on the phone. So.
Yeah. So basically, I'll get to that. But so I had this thought in my head, and of course, I was running around with Mike all the time, and Mike and I've known each other since I was in 8th grade. And every time I come up with some idea to do something, I always call Mike and I'm like, let's go. And he just does it. It's so dumb. He's so dumb.
Look at you, just drinking out of a shot glass.
What the hell are
glass.
you doing, sir?
I just want to
I
taste
see
it.
what we're
My
doing.
God.
Oh my goodness. So
No,
It's
it
not
was-
on the carpet. It's
Yeah.
it's still a virgin.
Look, this tablecloth was gonna smell like booze sooner or later.
Yeah,
if it didn't
well,
already.
I'm,
It's
I'm
prob-
gonna just get this out of the way.
Yeah, there you go,
just
Mike.
handle
Here.
that.
Cheers.
So
It's
So,
good.
I started thinking,
that's why
what-
I'm not going.
Really good.
That's
What
why I'm
was-
not going quickly.
yeah. So what was the next evolution of the website, a podcast? So of course I called Mike and then Alan because Alan and I was seeing almost every weekend consistently at CD Warehouse.
Yeah, because I was back there.
Mm-hmm.
That was Steven and I. We were kind of talking. We crossed paths in college. Very briefly. And I saw Mike and Steven's band play a couple of times.
That's true.
Back in the day.
In the dive bar,
Yeah,
Springwater.
and then 20. I mean, we're gonna get old here. 20 years ago, when I was working at CD Warehouse,
Yep.
Steven and his former wife would come in all
It was
the
a
time.
Saturday thing.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them all the time. I knew who they were because of I'd seen them around for so long.
Right.
And I mean, it was just kind of one of those things. We were always, goofing off, and I was giving them deals on stuff, and sometimes just passing stuff straight across the counter.
So
and-
those were the days. Yeah.
I think it's been long enough on the.
This coming-
Yeah, those were the days.
CD
CD
There were-
Warehouse is going to come after
Yeah,
you.
Exactly.
believe me.
There were days where Alan would call me, some crackhead just sold a crap ton of this. Do you want
Yeah,
to come
we
get
want
one
'em.
before we
I
put it in the
know,
store? And I'm like,
exactly, yeah.
yes, I'll
It's
be there in
probably
15
stolen,
minutes.
but it's
Yeah, we had a lot of people.
Well, in those days,
questionable
yeah.
stuff
When they
in,
bring you
so-
20 copies of the same movie.
all sealed. Yeah.
Oh, sometimes they wouldn't even bother to take the Kmart stickers or anything off
Yeah.
of them. Where it's like, okay,
I
obviously
feel
you know
like-
somebody who
Who
works there.
steals from
so-
Kmart?
No.
That's
Back then
that's
it was
like
happening,
Beating
you
up
know,
a
so-
handicapped
You know-
child.
That's
You
why
know-
Kmart's not around anymore.
But you know what I actually think it was? Because they actually, all the stores had to lock down on it and stop accepting that stuff. I think it was somebody who was actually stealing from Ingram, who was like one of the big distributors here for all the
yeah,
stores.
probably.
And they would go in the warehouse and take
Anyway.
a case of this or that.
So-
but anyway, that's how
yeah.
it all got started. So I called Alan. I'm like,
Well,
we're gonna
actually,
do the show.
what was funny is because you had the year or 2 years prior to that, you were trying to put together a television show. It was the which one was it? It was the travel show.
Yeah, that was where we
Nation.
started. Geek Nation. That's where we
what it was.
started. Mhm.
And some
Which,
reason,
by the way,
some
not-
reason Steven decided to put me in front of a camera. I'm like,
because you
okay.
were a ham and you loved it.
I had a great
Yeah.
time with it,
Yeah.
And then we went on, and and that's when we got Brittany a little after.
And we
that.
eventually did do Contract.
Contract. We were actually filming that while we were doing this
The podcast,
as well.
Side note, I was able to sell the Geek Nation YouTube channel for a good few
Nice,
dollars.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That one got sold off to
I knew there was
someone
somebody
who's
was looking
barely
for it.
doing something.
I
with
knew
it.
there was somebody who was looking at it a little while back.
Yeah, they bought it, so that
but
one's-
anyway, so yeah, that was kind of the and the thing is that we're talking about this is 07, 06,
07,
08,
yeah,
and this is when
something
podcasts really started becoming a thing.
A thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like a real thing. And I listened to them all the time. The job I had at the time was in the car every day, and I just listened to podcasts all
So
day
you remember how
long.
this thing started? This started. I was looking for a place to record, and I don't know if these are all over the country, but we have these fast food Italian places, Fazoli's.
Fazoli's, yeah.
And they have a
it's
party
thing,
room,
yeah.
and they agreed to let me have their party room once a week to do the thing. And initially, it started. It was me and you and Brian.
And Brian Curtis.
And then Mike was going to come on. You weren't convinced about
I was
actually
really just
talking.
gonna do sound.
You were going to come
Yeah,
mix.
yeah.
Record it, yeah.
But we would talk about Star Wars, and you couldn't not
Exactly,
talk.
yeah.
So
because it
eventually,
would always devolve into Star Wars at some point.
and
If you
10 years
listen-
later, it still does.
Yeah, but especially if you go back and listen to those first 2 years of the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, there is about a 99% chance that at some point we're going to devolve into a Star Wars.
It was probably
talk.
15% of the content. Was
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
and
it was
it turns out into some of our regular listeners who've been with us almost the whole time, like Michelle and Bill. Bill, we're going to get to in a minute because he has very strong impact on this show. And those guys, they would start messaging me like directly. Here it comes. They could feel the Star Wars about to happen.
Stop with the Star Wars. Don't go that way. You're going to be here for 2 hours.
Exactly.
And at that time, especially because it was one of those that when we moved from there, we went to
Comic
City 2, which was right down the street from where I live. And so between my house, I would get off work, go home, take a shower or whatever, and then there was a Mexican restaurant that was between there and Comic City 2, and so I would go in there and hit happy hour.
And some days
and show up to the podcast.
Some days things got
and sometimes it was
unmanageable.
really bad.
Yeah.
I am happy to say it's funny because the things that have changed in all that time. In November, I will have 10 years of sobriety.
That's
So it's one of those things that, like, hey, it happened. It's one of those things I got under control eventually. But there are some touchy.
We are going to come back to that story.
Oh, I know.
We're going to come back to it in a minute because it has some impact on the show too.
Steven and I. Yeah,
but
we're go ahead. Let's do the whole history before we start
in the specifics. So to get past that though, due to situations not necessarily related to the show, Brian stepped away from the show, and Nico, I knew. We knew a little bit from MTAC.
I had a mutual friend who.
Well, I think it was
Brooke, who
was
recommended
on the show. I mean,
she recommended Nico.
I'm sorry, we're doing that. Because Brooke was on the show.
Brooke had come sit in with us.
Tom Cheridar was someone who was on our show.
Who's still a regular listener and supporter of the show.
Hey Tom, hadn't seen you forever. I hope is he still in Texas?
He is in Austin.
That's awesome. I hope things are going great for you there. We had the Nashvilleist girls. And
we're gonna get to them. Megan and Christy.
And Christy,
Tony Youngblood.
Tony Youngblood. I invited Tony today. He had prior obligations he couldn't get out of.
Maeve, Maeve would come on here every once.
She's in Carolina
She's
now,
in. She is in. Crap. She's in North Carolina. She's doing really good. I saw her about 6 months ago. She came into town. She's doing great.
So anyway, Nico came on pretty early in the show.
Yeah, it was probably
it was within the first 100 episodes.
Oh yeah, it was like before 50, I think.
Yeah, we were
early.
double digits.
Yeah. And quite honestly, if you go back and listen to those episodes, you would probably think that I hated Nico.
But Nico,
we got the most heated.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was funny because there was a point where because Nico at the time was living close to my house, and so I would go and pick him up. And it was so funny because I would go and pick him up, and we were talking in the car on the way over and having a good time. Everything. As soon as the mics come on, I was just like,
and some things never change.
It made good radio. It was good entertaining.
I know, but it was one of those things that Nico, I think you came to understand after a little bit. He's like, oh, he's doing this for the show, basically.
And fully, when you were still pretty regular on the show, you tried to do the same thing to Catherine, and it didn't work. Catherine doesn't handle it as well as Nico does. She would get
Zach became the whipping boy after a while.
Yeah, I was going to say the best day we ever had for Nico was probably when Zach came on the show. Because Zach's first 20 episodes, he was known as the new Nico.
Well, it was definitely a transition period, like when Alan was on the show less, and then Mike also stepped away from the show for a bit.
Yeah.
Outside of you, I was the most tenured person on the show.
Right.
A really weird transition to deal with.
And even now, as long as these two have been around, you've got more episodes than they do.
Absolutely.
Me and you have the most episodes.
Steven's been on all of them.
All of them.
He's because
I kind of
have to be. But if I'm not on it, that's a week we miss.
But I know in the beginning it was one of those things that my life was not in a great place then. Obviously with the alcohol and everything, but with some other stuff. And this was something that every week I looked forward to.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the one thing every week that I was like, I just got to make it to Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever day. Because we moved that day a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I just have to. It was Monday. I know we were on Wednesday for a while. We were on Thursday for a while. I know.
Yeah.
But it was just that day. I was like, I just need to make it to that day.
Well, and we tactically moved to Wednesdays because it was the comic book release day.
Yeah, it was.
And it was a great day to be in
the
Mark's comic book shop.
Exactly.
So that's the reason we eventually moved to Wednesdays, and it's just kind of been there the last couple of
I
episodes.
remember because I was at I was at my parents' house at the time, which was in Madison where the shop was. So if Alan was picking me up, I was biking to and from.
Right.
That's right.
Which honestly I missed because it was nice having that good exercise.
I miss
And the
it
neighborhood's
too, 'cause
changed
your
quite a
legs
lot,
were
too.
Oh,
banging.
wow. What?
Like, I miss those days too because your calves were like beautiful.
That is hilarious.
I still find it funny though. I was in college, and like when you're in college back in 2010, you had like a bunch of podcasts that you can listen to, right? So, like I remember one week, it was some Wednesday. I was like, oh boy, here comes the CultureSmash podcast. It's about to, because every week it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that. And I get it. It's like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, sorry, there was no podcast this week. We had snow. I'm like,
Yeah, because I.
Yeah.
I remember.
I used to
only
do that
came
too.
to like 1 or 2 podcasts for free.
I have been trying to get you on the show for years.
I was terrified because like I wasn't quite familiar with everybody, and I like Nico and I had just started dating like 2 years, I think, and I came to the first. I just kind of sat in the back of the comic shop like, if I make a sound, they're gonna pick it up, and then people know I exist. No.
While the other comic book nerd dudes are just yelling at each other about DC versus Marvel or whatever.
And I'm
they
sitting
do.
here like I can comment
No,
on
that's
that,
us.
but I'm not.
That's us.
Yeah, that was us too.
Yeah.
True. No, we both prefer Marvel.
That's
it's not
true.
really a fight.
Yeah.
You were saying, I think we're pretty much a Marvel
This
podcast.
is a Marvel podcast.
Yeah,
Marvel camp.
But yeah, I tried for years because I just felt like we needed a female voice on the show, and 2, you would always crack me up at the conventions and stuff, and I'm like, you need to come. You're always like, my work schedule doesn't let me.
Okay, I had a really messed up work schedule, and then family things happened, and then another messed up work schedule.
And we tried to get Brittany on here quite a bit.
And when she came on here, Brittany
always,
she was the one who would shut Alan up.
Exactly, and I love Brittany because I learned that early on working with her that it was like, okay, I'm going to be the butt of the joke. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That's my role in this. Is that she gets to just and it's funny because if it was happening to anybody else, I'd be laughing my ass off.
Yeah,
but it's me, so okay, fine.
Well,
I'll accept
you had
it,
trouble at that time. At that time, it was really hilarious because you had trouble taking that kind of abuse from like a Miss Tennessee, basically, a really cute girl. Alan's trying to look cool in front of her, and she just rips him a new one.
But it was so funny, especially as we started doing the contract stuff. It happened more and more. Not just with her, but being at those places and we did. It didn't make the show, but there was an that when we were at which one was the one in Louisville, the not Lebowski, but the other
arcade one,
the Superman.
No, it wasn't that one. It was in Louisville. It was the one with the was it Wonderfest?
Wonderfest, yeah. That's the one.
And so they were giving away like these awards. They had it was a horror thing or whatever. And so we're walking down the hallway and we're trying to get interviews. And there's this young woman sitting over and she's reading lines like she's memorizing, And she's wearing this bustier, and she's very well endowed, and it's all up and out, And it's one of those things like, okay, cool. And so Steven's like, hey, he goes over and starts talking to her, and he goes back and says, yeah, she agreed to do an interview. He was like, okay, cool. So she's sitting. I didn't really see a whole, I was like, okay, She stands up, and she's about 6 foot tall, as it is, And she's probably about 5'10", but then she was wearing heels on top of 6 foot. So my eye line was right at her breast.
Yep.
Like, there was no, just turning around, whether I was meaning to look at him or not, it was just right there, So it was like, okay, you're just going to have to, keep your eyes up the entire time. And it was so hard to do because it was just because I was constantly looking up. But that became a thing after a while that I think Steven really, relished was finding these tall women for me to talk to.
Yeah, it was great.
I did.
I started staging it
every time. I was just like, "Yep, okay, fine. I'm short. Yeah, I get it. Okay." And it's just the thing you go with after a while.
So during the contract process we were doing for the Xbox, one of the most impactful times related specifically to the podcast was when we did film at Lebowski Fest. We had been filming all day, and this was during the time where Alan was drinking, and he was slipping off and getting drinks between shots, and I was getting mad because he was blowing lines and everything. Well, when we finally got everything we needed, I was ready to relax and cut loose a little bit too. I'm like, fine, let's go drink or whatever. We're just walking through the lobby talking, and this random dude with hair sticking up everywhere, drunk as hell, comes running up with a beer, and he's sloshing beer all over the floor, and he's like, Cine Geek Podcast, Cine Geek. And Alan and I looked at each other like, He's like, you gotta come hang out with me. And we're like, and then he said, I got all the beer in my room. We're like, let's go. Let's go. And that was this dude right here.
The
No
last
one's
time anyone
ever
ever saw
taught
us.
you about
what was-
stranger danger.
What's so funny?
Dwayne could have made this whole podcast in completely different.
Exactly.
And what was so funny with Dwayne was that like he came on that and like we kept talking about him. Like I was like, who was that dude? You know. And
Well, he
Steve didn't
became
know-
our stalker.
And
because
he became
started
the official
popping up.
stalker of the Cynic Geek podcast because he would pop up places that we were going to be. He was like,
Well, because we were doing a lot of live shows.
Yeah,
then. We were
and it
at
was just like, all right.
we were at Geek Media Expo, and there's
Yeah.
Dwayne. We were at MTech. There's
Oh,
Dwayne.
Yeah, there's. I mean, it was just
We had a
went
good time at Geek
bunch
Media,
of places.
so
We sure did. I got hammered with stormtroopers at that show.
Apparently, I had a really good time at that.
Yeah.
I had,
Do you
that
remember
was-
me asking
we
you
did
if Alan was your designated driver?
That guy's drunker than you are, right?
I was on fire that night. Tom was there.
Oh yeah.
And this was like we were hanging out and everything. I had this cooler full of Miller Lite because Steven and I had gone out to the car at one point. And we were sitting in the car drinking beer, whatever.
Yeah.
So it got later in the evening. Of course, they opened up the bars there and everything. And it was like way too expensive. Like, dude, I've got the
All
better
the
part
beer.
of a case out in the car, still on ice. So I just brought the whole thing in. I'm like, screw it, I'm sit down. And so Tom comes over, hey man, like, yeah, blah blah blah, and he's like. He's like some beer, some microbrew or something. And he's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I got on him, and I'm like, son of a bitch, you need to be drinking good American beer, not any of that import pansy crap. This is
Little did you know, 10 years later, it would be all about that.
Long. I laid every time I saw him. I'm like, are you drinking that pansy?
So Tom is probably the one who's like really in the podcasting space has done the most of any of us because he's done work for TechCrunch and Tech Radar and
the Geeks of Doom for
Geeks
a
of
long
Doom.
time. Yeah.
Yep.
And
And then I ended up going over and writing for Geeks of Doom along with this show for a long time.
And that was
myself.
funny because I met Tom outside of the show because he showed up one night when I used to help run the Nashville Santa Rampage every year. And like we're talking down 2nd Avenue one night, while this is going on, we're not very far into it. And I look over, I see this guy. He's sitting over and he's got like, he legit is got like a pad and a pencil.
Yeah.
And he's like writing down everything. He's got this lanyard. I'm like, hey man, what's going on? And he's like, oh hey, I'm Tom. I'm with Geeks of Doom. And he holds up his lanyard that's got and like I had just heard of Geeks of Doom like within the few weeks prior to that. So I'm like, yeah, man, and like we actually put him in a Santa costume and everything, and I was like going around introducing him to everybody and that kind of stuff. And then we ran into him again later at that thing at Vandy, and we were both sitting there going, how do I know you? I don't, because I was really drunk that night. But it was just kind of one of those things. So Tom, we love you, bud. I wish you were still around.
So one thing that's been a staple of this show since within the first couple of years is when something really critical is on TV and is ending, we do a big show. We did Game of Thrones. That was an epic show.
Yeah.
And we've done movies too. We usually do whatever Star Wars movie is out. But does anybody remember what the very first one we did is? Not you because you looked at my notes.
And I was there.
I also looked at your notes, but I know what it was too. I was also there.
Was it Lost?
It was Lost. Yeah, that was the first full, and that was a 2.5 hour episode.
That was a long one. And that was still at the comic shop too. We stayed at the comic shop.
Yep.
and did
We were
2.5
there till
hours.
after close.
And it's funny because Lost has been off the air for like 9 years now, and I still have a Lost-shaped hole in my viewing. Like Game of Thrones filled a little bit of it, but it didn't
It's
totally
shaped like that
do
pedestal.
It
man.
really is. I mean, it's one of those things that like I
Yep.
just wish I could find a show that I connect with the way that I did.
So
that.
I've been
So-
funny thing is I've been rewatching Lost,
and I want
lately.
to go back and do that.
And it's
too.
like, okay, so season 4, there's no redemption for season 4 of Lost, but season 1 and 2, and then the last season, it's still some of the best TV in the last 20 years. And we got so connected. This was one of those episodes where Mike actually went back to just being the sound mixer because you didn't watch any of it.
I've not seen one
But the
episode.
three of us, we went on for over 2 hours.
yeah.
about
So
that.
long, yeah.
I know.
And from that point forward, it's kind of become a thing that we do now. It's and we still do it. I don't know what the next one is going to be. I would imagine
Walking Dead, maybe.
probably there will
anybody see
probably
that
be
show's not ever going to end.
Yeah.
they're predicting 10 more years of programming for that.
I know they're
Either
talking about movies or
films
something.
and
So-
everything. But I imagine probably maybe premiere episode of Watchmen, for example, is probably going to be pretty big for us.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
And I know you're excited in particular about His Dark Materials. So there's a lot. Most of it's HBO
Yeah.
right now. But yeah, I imagine that's going to be probably what's next for us. So So we have to talk about how Zach became part of the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Zach became part of the show in a real similar way to Dwayne. It was I think the first time was that we saw you in person was MTAC, right?
Tech 2008.
Yeah, you
Oh, wow.
came.
Woo!
You came to the
Was
live
it-
event.
Was it 2000? Yeah, it was 2008.
Yeah, I think something like that.
2008 would have been the
Asian
first year
horror
of the
movie
show.
panel.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Horror
that.
movie panel. That's right.
Yeah.
And so we had
Was that
some.
Fred and Stephanie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was me and Fred and I think Chris Dortch, who used to be
Oh,
a
yeah.
programmer for Belcourt. He's in Chattanooga now. But yeah, there was that, and then we started seeing him.
No. And then in 2009, Asian horror movie panel again.
Was that also at MTAC?
That was
Yeah.
in tech the following year.
Yeah.
And then
And then Green Hills Theater.
Green Hills Theater, it was just like, oh hey, it's these guys again.
Yeah, we're down. We're where we always are. We're somewhere in the first 3 rows, and from the back we hear Synagogue. And I'm turning around, and it's Zach and his friend Chase.
I remember hearing that
5
story
times.
early on.
Yeah.
And it wasn't ever planned. It was just like, all right, let's go see Kick-Ass, and then there y'all are in line for the Nashville Film Festival.
Yeah.
Let's go see Inception.
Every time
There you
I
are.
set foot in Green Hills, there's Zach. He's like turned into the stalker. He took Dwayne's position.
And it had to be somebody. You know?
Right. And then I don't really know how you wound up on the show, to be honest. I know that was happening. And
remember.
then,
I
Really
came in
the
one night and
yeah.
Zach was here.
There was-
Or
Yeah.
it was at your apartment.
You'll just let it.
Yeah.
You know, it was-
I'll just let anybody in off the street
because
who
that's
likes
the thing,
Star Wars.
Because like
You don't like Star Wars, I question you.
you know, we went from
The old ones, not the
Fazoli's-
new ones.
Yeah, we went from Fazoli's to
Rick's Comic-
to Comic City.
or
and then
Comic
It was
City
March.
City.
Yeah, Comic
March.
City 2.
Yeah.
But then he moved twice during that time period.
Yeah.
And got further, and then Steven moved into an apartment.
Yeah,
That was
downtown.
right downtown.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's where we filmed for a long time. And remember, for those of you who watched, I built this big thing
Oh,
to
yeah.
go
Yeah.
behind us
Yeah.
that like
That
Steven
thing-
couldn't put anywhere. And
It had to stay up all the
It
time.
was such a pain in the ass. It was cool looking, but it was a pain in
I
the
know.
ass.
It would
Yeah.
be great for in here somewhere if I still had it.
And
We could
man,
put it up here or something,
That
you know.
apartment was tiny.
It
So-
was a
it was
tiny
so small.
apartment.
So that
And then
apartment.
we did like all our
And in the
Christmas
summer we
parties
had to
and-
turn the air conditioner off, and it got hot
Oh,
as
it was
everything
so
in there.
awful.
It was
That's
so
why air
bad.
conditioner was so loud. It picked up.
You would hear it through the mic, so we had to turn it off. And the whole apartment was 620 square feet. So
Yeah,
when we
it
get
was
4 of us in
small.
there trying to podcast, and it was
But it
challenging.
didn't stay at 4 though, because
It was always changing. It was
Yeah.
depending on who was coming and going.
Right.
Just
I
like
swear,
now.
you
You know,
could fit,
we had
you
it-
could fit most of your apartment, if not all of it, in this
In this room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This room is 35 by 15.
Yeah.
that's about
So-
right.
Because then
Yeah.
sometime after that, we got Catherine and Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was during
Which they're always a pair. Yeah.
the 3 of us did our first doc feature together. Well, it was first one with Zach, and that was about a murder mystery dinner theater, and that's where
Dramatique.
Dramatique, and which is on Amazon right now if you'd like to see that.
Insert Amazon link here.
Exactly,
Yes.
right there. We got to be friends with them after that film was done, and I still was looking for that like female perspective for our show.
And you still hadn't talked to me into
You still hadn't come yet, so
No.
I was like, okay, let's bring Catherine in.
And
Although,
she was a great
I'm not
addition.
gonna take that
I mean-
joke.
yeah.
We need someone to talk about Disney as much as we talk about Star Wars.
Which-
Problem solved.
Problems are- Little did we know.
No, Disney solved that problem for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, exactly.
Now, the only thing is
You
that-
are talking about Disney when you talk about Star
and
Wars.
I fully say this, and I love Catherine, and she knows I'm going to say this.
Go on.
When we made the film, we had this joke because there's a scene in the movie where we shoot from 2 angles. We have 2 separate cameras, and one of the cameras is much further from her than the other. But if you look at the levels, the audio levels, they're exactly the same. It's like both cameras are right on top of her because this woman projects. So when we brought her onto the show, it required a whole new revision to the mixing system
yeah.
and everything.
We,
that
we
were
also
doing.
had them because they originally came on and did a separate.
They were doing their own show that I was just producing.
Yeah, it was, it was
Yeah.
basically on our network. They were discussing like reality
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they saw how much work it is to actually do a podcast the right way, and decided they would just participate with us.
Right.
Yeah, at first it was like you pretty much did this one and then immediately went into that one.
To that one.
Yep.
right the same night.
Yep.
Right. And it takes a commitment. I mean,
Yeah.
for us to be here, I mean, obviously, I've been gone for close to 6 years now. Now,
Yep.
that's because I had a kid,
Yep.
or my ex-wife had a kid, and I.
You
I
participated
in that.
You had a piece of that.
But I have a. But I have a.
There's gotta be a better way to say that.
I helped, but it was one of those things, that like, becoming a parent takes up a lot of your time.
Yeah.
So I
It
couldn't
does,
do this
yeah.
any longer. But it was one of those things that I would still listen to the show, that kind of stuff going forward.
Well, and on occasion I could talk you into
and I
getting
would
into
come
the live
in, yeah,
stream.
every once in a
Yeah.
while I'd come in, or I would, because that was when you
I
were
mean,
doing
you
the
still
Google.
do occasionally.
And that was when you were doing the Google Hangouts.
Yeah, which
before-
I miss.
Which
Yeah.
Google Plus
Yeah.
just ended. Like they just shut down. So that's all gone. Which is funny. Well, we can get into that a little bit of stuff that's come and gone in the 11 years that we've done this. But what I was saying, even though I've been gone for 5 years, this is something that takes a commitment.
Yeah.
Every week you say, I'm going to go do this thing, no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on in my life, no matter what the weather's like, no matter whatever.
We've done pretty well. Now, I would say our average, in 52 weeks, we probably average between 42 and 45 weeks.
Yeah, that sounds
There'll
right.
be occasionally where
It's a
usually-
holiday or I have
MTAC's
work.
coming
Yeah,
up.
we all
and
have
we
MTAC.
to-
This is something I just learned. That the average podcast that fails never makes it to its 9th episode.
Yeah. Because
That's
people
9
learn what
episodes.
much
It's
work
like
it is.
Yeah,
for
it's
some
a lot of
that's it's not going any further.
I
so-
have worked for this entire 10 years to automate as much of it as I can, but it still requires
Oh, yeah.
post-production editing.
Absolutely.
You still have to go in, and now moving to this space has been great for us room-wise. But as far as dealing with echo and things like that, I have to deal with all that now. And that's why we record on Wednesday. Lots of times the show doesn't go up until Thursday or Friday because I have to do all that
Right.
cutting, especially when there's a lot of curse words that happen. Tina,
Zach.
Hey, it's not me
does
now. Okay, I know it was me for the longest time, but
It's
now
like,
it's,
it took me a while to get to it,
To be
but
fair,
Zach
it
also
is
does
kind of like equal around the table.
it's true
Rare.
because I think I'll be 100% and own it. I think I had the curse word last week. Actually,
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I did.
I think I dropped an F-bomb last
No,
week.
I did.
Did you? Well,
Yeah.
that's what it was. You dropped it first, and I was like, "Oh, it's the
Yeah.
Whatever.
The seal is broken.
With the word.
The seal is broken."
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, once it's out there, there's no going back.
So we've had a lot of different sponsors for this show.
Oh, man.
So I have
still
notes.
miss Buzz Bites, man.
Right?
And
I have
Frush.
notes
I miss them
about-
so much.
And
I still get cravings for that.
we were just talking
chocolatey-
about this in pre-show. We
Yeah.
had Buzz Bites. I actually, it's been so long, I've forgotten the name of the parent company that does Buzz Bites and Foosh.
Vroom Foods.
Vroom
Yeah,
Foods,
yeah,
that's
there
it.
you
Vroom
go.
Foods, yeah, because we had that spiel they wrote for us
I
at
still
the
have
beginning of it.
so many of the tins.
Do you?
Around
Yes.
because I
That's-
still use them to store small little crap.
Last
cool.
year, it was last year. I finally had I had to get rid of my laptop. I'd had this Toshiba satellite forever, and before I got rid of it, I actually took the cover off of it, like the back panel, because it had that Spider-Man sticker that I got when we went to Superman Fest and whatever. But it has a Buzz Bites sticker on it,
That's
and I was like,
hilarious.
I have to hang on to this. All
I
the
bet I
stickers and
still
everything
got
else. I was like, I got to hang
somewhere,
on to
yeah.
this.
So
But
the issue that we had with Buzz Bites, so basically Buzz Bites and Foosh, which I lovingly used to call the urinal cake because it was a giant round
It
thing.
was.
Yeah, then
it was so big. It was like that big around.
mints that were caffeinated, and the Buzz Bites were
And they
just chocolate
almost
chews
killed
that
a
were
friend of
caffeinated.
mine. Yeah.
So we like we do
I
with
can't
social
imagine why they
a
don't
lot of
sponsor the
times
show anymore.
because social has been a sponsor for us for the last couple of years. But we would open a tin of the whatever it was, whether they sent us Foosh or Buzz Bites or whatever, and would eat one at the beginning of the show. But by mid-show, it was like wrangling cats because everybody was up on caffeine and bouncing off the walls everywhere.
Well, it was funny the first episode that they were a sponsor when we were still at Fazoli's at the time, and it was funny because we were like, yeah, okay, whatever, and ate one. And by the time that episode was, we were all like, it was like just bam, 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 bam. And then Steven the next day was like, dude, that episode is almost incoherent.
It's so crazy. Yeah, it's so crazy.
So
they were-
my introduction to Buzz Bites was at the aforementioned Lebowski Fest.
So we took a bunch
we're
of with us.
drinking it, and Alan's like, "Do you want
Here,
this? It's like a
take
cup
this."
of coffee." Hell yeah, I've been drinking all night. Sure, I want it.
They were a godsend.
I was
They were a godsend for Nico and I because we were in the middle of college.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
And that's
The best Buzz Bite story, though, and you might be going to get to it,
Go.
was when we were doing the 24-hour.
Oh,
So I'm gonna get to
well,
that.
I was going to say
I'm
the
gonna
other
get
one
to
though
that,
was Christy Finch. But remember, she did on the Nashville. She did the
They
whole
took the challenge.
Yeah, they did the challenge where they ate a whole 10 of them
in one day.
in one day.
Oh.
And they were documenting it along the way. And
They blogged about it for
oh
us.
my God, no, don't ever do this.
Yeah.
No.
So
this
I
is
think
terrible.
there's there was a dozen of them in a tin.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they ate the whole thing, and it was crazy.
To
So
date, how many people has
I think it was just
CultureSmash
6.
killed?
right, I don't know. I can tell you. So during that,
We were actually Googling, like, what the actual overdose is.
Yeah, we did. We were. We were like, what?
Well, and that's how-
Caffeine's a great website.
yeah.
They should sponsor our show.
So we did a show at a bar. I mean, we're in Nashville, so we had to
It's
do a
no
show.
longer around like
Yeah.
so many other things in
Well,
Nashville.
I mean, it's there. It's just something
yeah,
else now.
it was funny because it was a Twitter thing. Mm-hmm. You know, like it was like
that we were
this is when-
partnering with
this is-
Nashvilleist and whatever.
Right, and this is when Twitter had first really taken off. You know, this is in 09, I guess.
Something
it was,
like that.
And so it like Twitter had become a huge thing. So they would have these meetups, and and they had like this big screen where like you could hashtag stuff.
It was kind of like a mini tech
that.
event.
Right.
Tom was there representing Geeks of Doom, and I think he just started with Tech Radar. So we decided to be part of it and do a podcast there. And we had Buzz Bites there, and we were also having cocktails.
And we were drinking a lot of.
And we were drinking.
lot.
and a mutual friend of ours who also worked at CD Warehouse, how I met him, was Andy. He was there. He ate those Buzz Bites and got a little bit drunk. And the area where we were sitting, I'll never forget this. I wish I had a picture of Alan's face when we were doing the show, because it was surrounded in glass. We could oversee Broadway, the street. We were
Our
doing the
back is
show.
to the show. To the-
Andy
yeah.
leaves. He's like, man, I gotta go. I'm gonna see you guys later.
'Cause he
And he was
lives right
hammered.
around the corner.
So he went
I mean,
around to
yeah.
that glass where Alan was looking over my shoulder and dropped his pants and shoved his bare ass into the glass.
And I'm on the show, and I'm like, oh my God! Just laughing and like making it. Of course, everybody's like looking and everything.
I wish we were live streaming then. I would have left it in.
Oh God.
Because,
Blur it out.
right, just blur out the crack, leave the cheeks.
Geek, you know.
That was also
for kids.
that was also the night that I realized how old I was, because Samantha, what's her last name? The woman who was the voice of Jim.
Newark.
Yeah, that lives here
Yeah.
in Nashville. She was supposed to be there, and
Yeah.
it was funny because Morgan and Christy were there, and I was drunk, and I said something like, "Yeah, the voice of Jim's going to be here," and they're both looking at me with this blank face, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Jim in the hologram. She was a cartoon."
Yeah, Jim is excitement.
And Morgan looks at me and she goes, "I'm only 22."
Yeah.
And I was like,
What is that?
Unacceptable.
So one thing that we did, and Mike actually just mentioned it, it's on my notes too, is that we have never done again, and we've talked about doing for years,
God.
is there used to be an event every year, and this is before you, and this is before you, which I wish it
24
wasn't, because we could
I
use the
wasn't on
help.
it either at that point.
You weren't a regular, but you did come.
I think
then.
it came a couple. I wasn't
because
there for this.
You were there. You didn't come during the 24 to represent MTAC.
No.
Oh no, never mind. I remember who.
Somebody
came.
else did. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have an event, and I don't know if they still do this or not. But what they would do is, in comic book shops across the country, they would bring artists together and give them 24 hours
24-hour
to create a
comic
comic
book,
book. So I was talking to the owner of the shop that we would meet in, and he was telling me about it. And I thought, we should do a 24-hour show.
Well,
We should just do it, because someone else had just done
it
one.
was the Around Comics.
Around Comics
podcast,
guys,
but
and
they're
those
not
guys
around
are.
anymore.
Yeah,
They're
I was
in
gonna say
Chicago,
we
yeah.
outlasted those dudes,
And
so
yeah.
we decided we would go, and we would set our goal for 24, but we would go as long as the artists did.
Right.
If they gave up early, then we would give up early. So we set up to do 24 straight hours, and what we did is I booked. This was when I met Ben Dixon from the tattoo place, because he came for an hour and talked about tattooing
Right.
with us, and we interviewed
Right.
him. We had
my friend Jason was
comic book
there.
artists come. We had some people from the Middle Tennessee Anime Convention come and talk for an hour. We were trying to switch it up as much as possible.
Right.
Sadly, I didn't get to switch it up that much because I was moderating, hosting, or whatever, and
Yeah.
then Mike was doing audio.
Right.
So we ended up going. It wasn't the full 24 because people finished. I think we went 18 hours,
Yeah.
That's great.
and it was exhausting.
It was exhausting.
but it was so
it was
much
amazing.
fun.
Yeah.
It was
And
fantastic.
we were so zoned out, like what we were having to do, because at that point in time, GarageBand would only let you have an hour of recording time
Right.
at a time.
Right.
So literally, we would take 15-minute breaks between each hour, where I could download the episode from GarageBand, set up to do the next one. And by 4 or 5 in the morning, something happened. An hour
We
just
lost an
disappeared.
episode.
It was an hour we
Completely.
did on
Or Legends.
Legends,
Urban Legends.
Urban Legends. We did
Yeah.
an hour. I don't know. we
I don't
were
think it's
zoned
a
out.
coincidence that that's the one.
Right? It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, no, that's we've always called that our lost episode.
The lost episode. Yeah. But
And
that
now, for the very first time,
right
Nico's had it all along.
from the original print negative,
You know, the thing
fully
is-
restored
is
in
that,
mono.
What's his name? Brian had a copy of it. Or he thought that he
96
might.
kb.
Brian thought that he might have still had a copy of it at
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah.
But I even I guess it was last year when we were actually doing the 10th anniversary was coming up, and we had
Something,
talked
yeah.
about doing something. I got in touch with him to see if he's still, because I was trying to get because I'm missing like the first 35 episodes.
I have them. I have
I know
like,
you
I
got
have
them
like
somewhere.
8 backup
because
drives. I have them
I
somewhere.
was gonna do a kind of a smash cut of stuff, kind
Mm-hmm.
of go back, which was gonna take forever, going through 500
Oh
episodes
my God,
of stuff,
dude. Yeah.
But I was committed to it, But he didn't have it. He didn't have any of
It
that
was
stuff,
it was like we were just by that last few hours just going through the motions. It was
Yeah.
just exhausting.
What was it? Kind of like the ARC's epic interview day, where by the end we're just like,
Yeah, by 3 a.m. you're like, can we be done?
Yeah.
Can we please, for the love of God, be
well,
done?
no, we got more people to interview. Let's keep going. You're
So
like,
Yeah.
We also had the problem of internet, because weren't we stealing internet from somebody?
We were stealing
or
internet.
something?
We
Yeah.
were stealing it from the comic book shop, and their internet was terrible.
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
part of the issue we were
Or-
having is just trying to get those episodes
we
uploaded.
were allowed. They let
Right,
us record
but
there.
Yeah.
Our backup plan was that Panera was just up the road,
And we could-
if we had
Yeah.
to, we would just run up there every hour and hook up to their internet and upload it, and then come back. So.
But that part to me was the most intense part, because being limited to that hour, like now we can do pretty much as much as
Yeah,
a hard drive
yeah.
will hold. But it was just when you're
Oh yeah, because we had there were a couple times where like the storage device that we were recording on
Yeah.
only hold so much. That's right.
yeah. So
and we
so
lost one episode one time and had to
re-record it.
re-record, like
Oh, we've
right
had-
there on the spot.
Yeah.
We've
Like,
done, it literally went, and we had
I
to
know,
start all
I
over
don't
and do
know
the
where
show
it went
again.
to. I remember Mike like,
But you know what was funny?
how do I get this back? I don't know where it went to.
I remember
I
that.
remember that.
Yeah,
Way
but
back,
the
yeah.
re-recording was better. It was better the second time through, and I
a
don't
little
know
more
why.
focused.
Yeah, which is a
Want to
big
be
deal.
done.
It's a big
Steven,
deal
I've
for
heard,
us.
I've heard rumor
Yes.
that the only known copy of the lost episode in existence is buried in a landfill in New Mexico.
Oh, along with the ET game.
No, that's
Well, one of the other things, and of course now my mind is blanking. We were talking
This is
about
why I made notes. Sir.
sushi, and talking about the different
Yeah.
things. What was the drink?
I was going to say, let me talk about that.
Okay, yes.
So on the
That was the
opposite,
best stuff.
on the opposite end of the spectrum, sometime after we kind of let go the Foosh sponsorship, we were sponsored by for
No,
a
we had it at
while.
the same time.
That's
that
right, we
was
did have it
early-
at the
it was the
same
first
time.
year, yeah.
because we got this company called Drank,
Drank. That was the
and
name of
then
it.
it would come in a giant purple can, and it was the opposite
It
of
would
Foosh.
knock you the F out.
It had chamomile.
It was NyQuil in a
It had
can.
valerian root, everything.
It was.
But what was funny
It looked
is
like the can looked like an energy drink,
None
like
of
a
us-
Monster or something like that. Except it was all purple and it just said "Drank" on the side of it. It said the anti-energy drink.
But
It's like
here-
a relaxation beverage or something. They had
Yeah,
a few
we
slogans.
drank half of like
No.
half of one each that-
This
that
is what
night.
happened. I will
Yeah.
never forget this because we didn't know how potent it was going to be. So we each drank one during
That's
the show.
right.
And by halfway of the show,
We're just
Mike
like-
was like this during the show. His head was down. He was gone.
What happened to that? The best nap I ever had. I took a can of that camping with me. Woke up the next morning,
I know.
drank it, and fell out on the. We had a little hammock set. I slept for took a 4-hour nap first thing in the morning.
Yeah. I mean,
so
it's
from that point
impressive.
forward, we would open one can
Yeah.
and share it in cups because
I
And
think
Where you
it
at,
was so
Drake?
strong.
It even,
Yeah.
we found like where they were selling it and like
started buying it because I was
around us.
I was
and
drinking
would
it at
too,
night to
yeah.
sleep.
I would drink it too. Yeah, but the thing is over time, then there was another one that was called Purple Stuff.
Purple
and
Stuff.
Then there was another one.
There was
And
a
then-
bunch of them
and
that
then all of
kinda
a sudden
came
they all just disappeared.
Well, because
That
people,
time,
people realized that they could take a melatonin.
It's just basically what,
Because
and
it had melatonin, valerian
rose-
root,
and
rose
rose hips were in
Melatonin
it,
is
and-
nowhere near
chamomile.
as delicious as
No, it's
Drake.
true. It's
Come
true.
back, Drake!
It's
Well,
true.
apparently they still make it because a couple of years ago, I don't remember if you remember or not.
I'm ordering it
there's
on
a-
Amazon
There's
right
a
now.
place. There's a place here in Nashville.
I don't see it on Amazon.
You're looking.
There was a place here in Nashville that it's one of those like cash and carry places. It's over Brick Church Pike. People, that's completely inside baseball. But I remember like going to their website because my dad and I were over that way. We were looking for something, and I saw that week their special was you get a case of drink. And I remember like sending it to Steve. I was like, hey, this is where we can pick this stuff up. Yes, that's the last time I've seen anything on it.
Their slogan was "Slow your roll."
Slow your roll.
That's it. Slow your roll.
Slow your
Drink
roll, man.
extreme relaxation beverage, 8-pack of 16-ounce cans.
You found
currently
that's it.
unavailable.
So what would happen? It was a thing. It got popular for a while because people would use it as a mixer.
Yeah.
They would put vodka or
Yeah,
something
like you want
with it.
people to go home after like people are staying at a party too late and
Give
you want to
them
go.
that.
Here you go. I was like, I'm
kinda-
tired. I'm gonna go home now.
Fall asleep on the road driving home.
It's kind of like the big thing with like Jaeger bombs. It's Jägermeister and Red Bull. And it's like, well, why not do the same thing in the opposite direction?
What do you got?
Yeah.
Dr. Ronald Peters Jr. of the University of Texas says it's the worst thing I've seen on the street since the making of candy cigarettes.
That should have been their marketing right there. That's
the worst thing since
I will still buy if I see
Candy
just like
cigarettes?
I will
Yeah,
still
no,
buy
I
them.
love candy cigarettes.
It's so weird to find them. Just playing in some random place. I'm like, oh crap, they still make these
Planters.
things?
Okay, if you go downtown Arcade Alley,
Yeah.
Yep.
Planters.
Really?
Yep.
Nice.
All those
Good to
old
know.
timey
I will
candy
go
shops.
there at
Nice.
least once a month
Nice.
just to buy candy cigarettes.
That's
Remember you could
hilarious.
puff on them and smoke would come out? Oh, they were great.
That's hilarious.
I used to get in trouble all the time for those things. My parents,
So
man.
one of the other things that we have not done in a while, and I don't remember, somebody.
Make fun of Zach for being
Where?
a brony?
Drink.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up a little bit later. So
All right.
DrinkUSA.com. They're out of stock, but they're trying to get it back in. But it's like $36 for a 12-pack.
Oh,
Whoa,
man.
that's expensive.
Yeah. One,
So-
$3
$3 a can. That's about right.
Yeah.
Math.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one of the things we haven't done in a while.
is live shows. We
yeah.
we for a long time we were doing every convention. Like
Yep.
we would do anything local, Hypericon, we did MTAC, we did GMX when it was happening, and we did some others where we'd go a little bit out of town to do them. And
Dragon, we've done Dragon.
we've done Dragon, yeah. And we've had some pretty fun experiences at those, but probably the most unique one we did was wasn't it Buffalo Wild Wings? It was a Wild Wing. It was a wing
Wild
place.
Wing Cafe.
Wild Wing Cafe.
Yeah.
We did a show
Oh,
there.
the Walking Dead one?
with
Yeah.
an actor from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Santiago's.
What?
Corelio.
Yeah.
Didn't we watch either like the?
It was the
season
premiere. It was
Yeah, it was the
Premiere,
season
yeah.
premiere there.
Yep.
Which I don't think he was in that one. Or
No,
something.
No, he wasn't. He was set to be in a
Like,
future episode
yeah,
of that season.
that season.
I mean, a small part, but still kind of cool because he lives here in the
Yeah,
city.
we had a local actor, and because they
Local
film
boy
in
makes
like
good.
Atlanta, so it's
Yeah, a lot of
that's fun.
them live here and drive down during that shoot, and that was a fun
was a lot of
event.
fun.
He brought pictures and signed for everybody and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Except
was a-
sadly, to my knowledge, the part that he was in the episode when it
cut.
finally hit got cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not been seen since.
Yeah.
He still gets the credit though.
Oh, that's cool.
He still gets the IMDb credit. so
Oh,
that's
Theron
cool.
and Than performed that night.
Theron and
Yeah.
Than performed, played music.
I
for
was
us.
trying to get us to perform that night.
Yeah,
You remember? And we couldn't get it together.
Yeah, there was
and that
too
was
many
one of those
things going
things
on.
that, like, my son was like 2 months old at the time.
Yep.
Because remember,
Yeah.
he makes an appearance.
That's right.
Because I had him up on the stage with us. He was sitting up on the
Mm-hmm.
and he was little bitty at the time. So.
Oh, we have to pour one out for Wild Wing Cafe too.
Are they
Yeah.
gone?
They're gone.
They're gone.
Yeah,
Man, they were pretty good.
they were pretty good. I think it was confusing because you'd tell someone, "Let's meet at Wild Wing," you'd end up at
Buffalo
Wild Wing,
Wings,
Buffalo
yeah.
Wild
Right.
Wing,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
B Dubs,
yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah. I know.
So we didn't talk about the transition from CineGeek to CultureSmash. It's a little out of order, but I'll just talk about it
That's
real
fine.
quick.
Yeah.
So that was we got together to record like
That was an accident.
yeah, we got together to record like a normal night, and
I told you I was like, the website's down.
the site was down, and so I start looking because I'm going to upload after the show or whatever, and something happened with GoDaddy. I'm not sure what it was because like even today I still use them. My stuff is set to auto renew. It didn't auto renew, and it got
Well,
poached
it
by a
wasn't
Chinese
GoDaddy.
company.
It was somebody else you were with.
That's right. It was That's why you don't use companies that aren't GoDaddy for domain registration.
Well, you don't use trusted companies. I mean, there
Yeah.
are other
Yeah,
companies that go
But you had been with them for a long time.
I had been with them for a that's why I
Yeah.
set the show up initially.
But yeah,
and,
apparently,
and I had it so long it was kind of before GoDaddy had kind of taken
Right.
things over. But yeah, they let my ownership go, and it got poached, and apparently They paid quite a penny for it by a Chinese company.
Yeah. Well, the thing that was so frustrating,
And it
'cause
still
like I
is just
said,
like a spam site right
It
now.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what because I was hearing this side of the conversation. Only
Yeah, because I called them direct while we were about to record.
Yeah, well, we never recorded that night, and it was one of those things. We should have just recorded your conversation.
Probably because I was pissed.
But I
off.
remember like you really getting pissed because they told you that it was sold, but it hadn't been paid for yet, or it was
Right.
waiting to be sold. And it's like, well, if it hasn't been sold yet, then give me back my domain.
Give me back, yeah. Don't
You know,
be
and they're like, no, we can't do that. You just said it hadn't been paid for or anything yet, so you can.
Like, I have my credit card
Yeah,
right
I mean,
here.
the whole. Well, they
You
had
like
my credit
money,
card.
don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that if I recall correctly, they said it declined, and they tried to contact you with some super old email address.
Yeah.
And
The whole thing was shady.
Yeah,
And it was really traumatizing because I put so much work into it.
Right.
But you
we
know,
have shirts?
we do have shirts.
I still got mine at
But
home.
I have mine too. But
Still
you know,
try
I
and wear mine.
Honestly,
I don't 100% lean into things happen for a reason, but that
I like Culture Smash better though.
well, it expanded the things that we could cover with
Right.
that name.
Yeah.
It opened me
Right.
up to doing things outside of geek culture if that's what we want to do. So, and I'd already bought that domain and had it put aside because it was going to be a future project
That's what they were
for
saying.
Microsoft
Yeah, right.
because we had a good run with contract and they wanted to do more stuff. And then the 360
CultureSmash was one of the first things you pitched to them.
It was.
under a different name.
It was.
But then you got that name while.
Well,
you know,
that name I actually brainstormed with the head of programming for
Right,
Microsoft.
right.
Yeah, and I said, okay, I'm going to go buy that domain because I like it too.
I still think we should sit down and write a book about that whole debacle.
It
because it was a 2-year just cluster.
Yeah.
Of we're gonna do this. No, we're not. We're gonna do. No, we're not. Yeah, we are. What? Oh, what do you mean that the heads they left on vacation and never came back?
Yeah, and then
I mean, seriously,
the hell
it
is
was that
suddenly-
type of stuff. It was just like you.
Suddenly they were transitioning from the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One, and they let their whole programming
Yeah.
team go, and we were just
But
left there.
This
we
was
had stuff.
years before the one ever surfaced.
Before it came out.
I mean, because
Yeah.
you know, you
It had
gotta
just been
remember
a-
the 360 was almost a 10-year, cycle
Yeah.
span, life.
Yeah.
But it was such a weird all right, and even when you called me that day and said, hey, we got to go to record, start filming these episodes, I was like, yeah, right. Well,
Yeah.
we've heard this so many times over the last 2 years. And
For
then we
there
did.
for a while, it
And
was
we
so
did, and
cool
it
to
was
be able
fun.
to flip on that Xbox and see all these shows that we made
Yeah.
for them. You know,
And now no one can see them.
no one can see that.
I forgot to put this in the notes, but one of the things that I love about the Culture Smash name so much is it was so popular, The Simpsons co-opted it on us.
No, they didn't just co-opt it. They said I think they were referencing us. Damn it, because in the line it's something like it's a pop culture website or something like
Oh,
that.
really?
They said Culture
Oh,
Smash.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really? 'Cause I
Yeah.
haven't watched The Simpsons in forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he posted the screen grab
And
of it.
Tom wrote me, and he was like, "Did you know about this?" I was like, "You are
And
kidding!"
legit,
Wow, that's pretty cool.
it's what comic book guy says. He's like,
He holds up an iPad that has Culture Smash on it, and so I've taken that screen grab, and that's our icon for a lot of personal
That's pretty
stuff.
awesome.
it's so good. You need to send me a good picture. Of
I
that
have a
so can-
relationship with The Simpsons. That's what
That is what you've waited for.
For your entire life.
I have
Now-
culminated right there.
Well, and those
Marcus.
7 degrees of separation. It's one now.
Well, so Al Jean follows me on Twitter because I used to live tweet during the show, and I've thought about reaching out to him and just saying, "Hey, when it comes time to do the commentary on this episode, I would love to be a part of it."
What season was that now?
right?
Season 30. It was just
wow.
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when that happened, though, the funny thing is, I feel like I've had to learn everything related to web design and podcasting and video presentation. I've had to learn all of that in a trial by fire because it's usually some crap happens and I got to go figure out how to do something because the website was one thing,
Right.
losing the name was one thing, but we'd already built up a nice following on the
Yes.
show,
Yeah.
and I was going to change my feed burner.
Right.
So I had to learn. I had to do a lot of research to figure out how to transfer people to a new FeedBurner account,
Right.
without dropping
Right.
and losing subscribers. It took weeks
Plus,
to get it right.
I remember, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I remember you telling me that at one time that you were getting 100,000 uniques.
Yeah.
Hits every month
Yeah.
on the website. Well, what happens when you go to that website and it's not there any longer?
Exactly.
And there's that whole. It's basically starting over at zero.
I had to start the website promotion thing over.
Yeah.
Now,
And-
and that actually did not bother me as much as the podcast, though.
Right.
Because the podcast listeners are harder to get. The
Yeah.
website had a very specific purpose, and it was still working for that, mainly because of my relationship with Geeks of Doom.
Okay.
Well, you
So-
also still had all the like social networks and everything. So any promotional tools,
We moved it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. But yeah, that whole like feed burner thing was oh god, it was a debacle. And then when we decided to do video, I can't even remember everything that we've used. I know we used Google Hangouts,
We
which
used
I
Google
think
Hangout for a long
was
time.
the best of everything that we did because people could log in and join
Yeah.
it really easy and all this stuff. And we
that
did
was also how we interviewed Rena.
Rena Riffle. That's where I was
Yeah,
looking next.
yeah.
I
For
forgot
Showgirls,
about
that's
that.
right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I still get a little message from her once
Yeah.
in a while. Every so often, I'll get something from her.
Well, it
Rena
was funny,
Riffle
for the
was
longest
she
time,
played.
She was following me on Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's weird. So
No, she
Yeah.
she looked all of us up
Yeah.
after that, and was following pretty much all of us
That's- yeah.
in some way or
that
another.
was a great interview too.
We've had some
I mean,
great
It was.
she was
interviews on
great.
the
That
So.
Catherine mostly led that because that's her jam.
Oh, yeah.
but she was real cool, and she started listening to the show and all this stuff. So.
Right around the same time, we interviewed. I think it was a couple that had written the Breaking Bad book.
Yep.
Oh, I remember
They
that
were-
interview. That was a
yeah,
good one.
they
We
were
were able to
awesome
bring them
too.
on live video also. That
Yeah.
was really cool. And they sent us copies of the book. I don't remember. One of you guys reviewed the book.
I
don't
think
remember who
Mike.
it was.
wasn't-
It might
I
have.
wasn't
No, it
here
wasn't
for
Mike
that.
because
I was
Mike didn't
gone
follow
by that
Breaking Bad at
point.
that point. I don't remember who did it.
It wasn't me.
No, it might have been
It
Catherine.
must have been Catherine.
I think it
'cause I
was.
would've
It
taken
was
it
either
if it was
Catherine or
available.
Nathan that did it. It was one of the two of them that took the book. And,
Yeah,
and did
where's
it.
Catherine and Nathan today?
Nathan is flying the friendly skies,
I know,
and Catherine is pregnant.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
So that
So
was
that,
all-
that
No
makes
relation.
two.
Catherine's-
Catherine's,
Geek
Catherine's
babies,
working
so-
on the new Zach right now.
That's right. Catherine's working on the new Zach, and then Zach will
Like I
get a
said,
break.
That makes the second Culture Smash baby. So
Yep.
it's,
Yep.
Are we gonna have that moment? Like, I will never forget this because like the first time I went on, it was early talks of they're gonna release Titanic in 3D,
yes.
Yeah.
and it was a discussion of who's gonna see this. I'm like, well, me. I've never seen the film in the theater. You're like, how old are you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Child.
And you just turned back to your Subway sandwich and just went, damn it. And I was like, does he
There
hate
was,
me?
there were several
Yes.
of those moments.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
There
Yeah,
were
If
several
you're
of
new
those
on the
moments.
show, Alan
And I
hates
just
you.
stayed really quiet.
that's part of it.
Well, there were several of those moments with Zach where, like, you know, like one time on the show, he dropped that he had never seen the Goonies, and we were like,
And now he tries to act like it's not good.
"What?" You know.
Oh, come on,
really
Zach.
that
It's
great.
good enough for me.
And then,
Yeah.
and then there was the
Nice.
whole brony thing.
I got it.
Oh yeah.
And that
His
was
fate was sealed
my
forever.
offer still stands.
There is no. First off,
My offer still stands.
friendship is magic is ending this year. Like,
For those
We
of you that
The
don't
fact
know,
that you
I
know
made-
tells
I
me a
made
lot, sir.
it's not stupid. Like,
I
yeah,
made-
I'll occasionally see this information. I haven't watched it since season 3.
I made a proposal to Zach that I would
He was gonna
pay
get-
Now it's
for
legal.
a
Yeah.
tattoo
Now it is legal.
that said "Brony for Life" in Comic Sans. That was
The best font.
and
The only font.
Comic Sans. And he could get it wherever he wanted to, but the other thing is he had to get the My Little Pony logo tattooed on his butt as well. So, and I told him I would pay for it if he wanted to do it.
And he didn't.
And he never
do it.
took me up on the offer.
because I'm
So,
not stupid.
Are you sure?
I mean, I'll be real. There's
Hold
only,
on,
like,
hold on.
one
I don't think
tattoo
this
I've
is.
thought
I
of.
don't think this is conclusive evidence that you're not stupid.
I,
It means it does mean you make good judgment calls, but,
but how many times
That's
did
not
Catherine
enough,
just
though.
completely like nail you to the wall with "Shut up, Brony"?
Years later, I'm playing Left 4 Dead 2 with a bunch of random people who were bronies, and their usernames were brony usernames. I'm like, hey,
just bringing it up to
and
the
I
chat.
haven't watched the show. How I haven't watched the show since season 3. How has it been? He's like, oh man, you got out at the right time. We're too
I
deep
will
in
say,
for this to stop.
we have a friend
So it was
who
like, all right.
who
Alright.
helped start BronyCon,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and this year was BronyCon's last year.
Oh really?
Oh, is the
It's
trend
falling
fading?
out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fair.
No, it's
Yeah.
because the show's ending. It's like,
Yeah.
why
Friendship
brony?
is no longer magic.
this-
Listen,
because the trend
that
fading.
has no bearing because there's plenty of shows, Star Trek, that
Yeah.
have been gone a long time.
You
and
know,
its
I
fan
hear
base-
Lebowski has a festival,
I hear they do
Exactly.
too.
and last I checked, that movie's over.
Okay, I guarantee you, whatever generation they do next is not going to have the same following because you're
Probably
not going to have
not.
Lauren
I mean,
Faust,
it-
and you're not.
Yeah,
gonna have-
because the time has passed.
It
Well,
has.
it was-
It's one of those
Yes,
things.
it
was
very
a
much-
trend.
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, it
very
was real
much.
flash in the pan because all of a sudden there were like 2 brony documentaries
Right.
out.
I know.
And,
It just
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you didn't hear anything about it anymore. It
Yeah.
really hit the zeitgeist and then went away.
Thank
like so
you
many
co-
other things.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yes.
Exactly. So one of the things that we've gotten into in the last few years is you've kind of been gone for this, but we did this a little in the early days. I would get random offers from PR companies to bring different food things on. I would come
okay.
on with weird things. I mean, I don't even remember all the
Bring up
weird.
those Harry Potter jelly beans again.
The Harry Potter. That was the only.
Bernie bots every flavored jelly.
So there were two things about that. I loved it because I loved the game, and I also loved it because it made Mike angry. He got angry about it. He got so
We did
mad.
jelly beans too. They were like not the Harry Potter theme, but there was like the spin wheel. Like you
That's the one that made him mad.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one was that
because
one was a good,
what-
awful one.
It was great because you'd spin the wheel and have to eat whatever it landed on.
Whatever color you would
Whatever
eat a color, and
color.
the color it could be dog food or chocolate pudding.
Yeah, and you just didn't know what you were going to get, and it was so funny because I was ready to do
key
it.
lime pie or grass.
Grass.
Exactly.
Grass dumplings were bad.
And Mike got so mad about that.
The one I hated the most was Fruity Tooty and
Tootie
Vomit.
freaking-
Yeah.
Yeah.
They looked identical.
But I solved that game because I just started eating them whole.
Yeah, right?
Just like
You just swallow it like a
It's
pill.
like a pill.
Well, that's your MO about breaking games because you broke the film ball one time.
That's something we need to do.
$100.
But that's what we're coming to next. But what Mike's point is about the dog food one is even if you swallowed it whole, it made your
burp-
breath
Yeah,
smell like
yeah,
dog
yeah.
food.
And somebody else ate it and
You had to
still
smell it.
taste it.
Getting skunk. I'll never forget that.
I liked it when I liked it. One of my
Lingered
favorites
for hours.
was this was just like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
We did the hot chip challenge.
Yeah.
That
that's-
was hilarious.
I watched that.
So
I
to
watched
date-
that. That
Watching
was-
Zach run
I
out of the
rewatch
date.
that every
Yes.
so often.
I will tell you to date, that is our most popular live stream.
Oh.
Is the hot chip challenge. It is the one that gets the most people still watch it and share it. That is our
I'm totally
most popular
one
one.
of those people because I'll just go to the part where Zach leaves the room to go
I
throw
made
up.
But that wasn't even the funny part. The funny part is Nathan drinking his milk and it shooting out his
Yeah.
nose.
Yeah.
Now he's got it in his throat and in his mouth.
And Nathan was-
Oh,
And
my
then Steven
God.
laughed about
And then
Nathan.
Nico
And I
was
was
over here
spitting
cool
milk
as a
up
cucumber.
everywhere.
Yeah, I was just trying to hold my calm when I had the chip on my mouth. I was like, I'm not gonna react. I'm just gonna stay still. And
So
try
we-
to-
I was sweating, but at least I was smart enough not to drink the milk immediately.
Yeah, but we couldn't. That was
Nico-
part of the rule. Remember, you had to
60
wait.
Yes.
No, I waited 5 minutes because I saw what happened to you and
Nico,
Nathan.
I
and
swear,
didn't
he
want part of
views
that.
spiciness as like a T-Rex. He's like, if I don't move, it can't get to
Yeah,
me.
exactly. But no, I love because like Zach darted out of the room, and Nathan, although he got out and vomited, Nathan got the worst of it. I think overall. At the
When
end.
that milk went up his
He
nose and brought that spicy up
so
and out his nose.
sick afterwards, though.
I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Like after the
Yeah.
show, he was
Oh my god.
he was
Hey,
dying.
I'm here to tell you right now, if I'd have been here, I would not have protected him.
So when
that
you
would have been me sitting back going, "Go ahead."
But when you
fools,
watch that
this one's-"
episode, so it's a hilarious like there's something in every corner that's different. Like you see Zach and you hear him on the mics throw
Yeah.
up in the background, and then I think you even hear Ada say something like, "You got to clean that up." And
I
then,
made it mostly to the bathroom, but you
It
have
was
only
mostly-
so much.
but what's
to the
funny
bathroom.
is me
only
and
so much your
Dwayne.
hands can carry.
But me and Dwayne and Nico and Nathan ate an entire chip. This boy right here
took a little corner.
took the little corner off
It
of
was
the
the
chip.
size of a quarter.
It was barely. But so there's that going on, and then you look over and Nathan is dying because he blew milk out his
Oh,
nose
he is
and had
so
that.
red.
And then you
Oh,
look
man.
over at Nico, it's like a zombie. He's like just like trying to just sit still and take it in. It was. Everybody loves
It-
that episode. It was so much
It
fun.
was still the hottest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
And we
All right,
did.
we're going to Prince's after this.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, then you're gonna really experience something. So we did some more of those subsequently because I get a note from Dwayne once in a while. Hey, you want to do hot peanuts?
Well, we
You
did.
wanna do-"
Yeah, we did the hot nuts.
Yeah, we did. And now the hot.
No. I did the hot nuts. Him and Nathan wussed out.
So there were five tiers of
I
hot
remember
nuts.
I stood in that corner with like
But
the
you didn't
airport,
bring a lot of nuts.
the
So it was
airplane,
like the three of
vomit
you guys.
nuts.
Yeah, the three of us did it, and there were 3 tiers of hot nuts, and
Five.
we were
There
doing
was
five.
yeah 5
5
tiers.
You
5
made
tiers.
it to 3.
I did 3,
You did
and now
four. You opted
I did-
out the last one.
Yeah, I did opt out of the last one, and the
Nathan
only
made it to 3.
the only reason yeah, that's right, he opted out, then I opted out, and the only reason I opted out of the last one is because we were going immediately into film ball, and I didn't want to sit there and be like
Miserable.
sweating and
Yeah.
comatose trying to figure out how I'm going to bid, because the 4th tier of those nuts was destructive. So I only imagine what the 5th
I
was.
remember you telling us Dwayne's text later was like, "Man, I'm really paying for that."
Yeah. That's the best. See, that is behind the scenes the best part of the whole thing is the random text I get from Dwayne and Nathan after we do it.
No, so I had pre-gamed. That one wasn't as bad because I learned my lesson. I pre-gamed with some fiber, and the next morning I was like, "Oh, I'm kind of uncomfortable, but it's not that bad overall."
Nathan would
I was
text me in the
texting
morning.
from the toilet.
Yeah.
Live updates.
Nathan was too. Nathan's like, my gallbladder. I'm like, I'm sure your gallbladder is fine, Nathan. Your butthole may be blowing
I have
out, but-
never. I'll tell you what. Ice cream has never tasted as good as it did because I had a pint of Haagen-Dazs Dulce de Leche, and that was good ice cream.
Speaking of this, we should probably talk about one of our unofficial sponsors we had when we were back in your apartment. Just a Drop.
Oh yeah. I paid for just a drop, but it was still a very important part of the show.
Speaking of that,
That was a constant, like, anytime somebody go in the bathroom and they come out with like, just a
Because
drop.
it was-
Just
Yeah,
a drop.
It's such a
You
small
got-
bathroom, such a small apartment, and
Yeah,
ventilation
because
and all.
whatever you did in
It
that
stuck
bathroom,
around.
it
Yeah,
followed.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, bring for me too, Zach.
Grab me a
Zach's,
grape, Zach.
Zach's bringing out more drinks for us.
What do you want?
I'm telling you,
Okay, great.
we've got to get Waterloo as a sponsor because this stuff is good.
Well,
Okay,
So-
I
Mike.
should probably wait until
Thank you guys.
until
No, I'm good.
I'm good,
he
I'm good
gets
too.
back. Dwight,
I do.
Whatever.
Twice.
Dwight.
I don't care. Whatever's in front.
Well, we don't know how long it's going to take.
Okay,
We don't know what kind
so-
of spicy food he has. So
Exactly,
we might as well go.
but this does offer a transition with the hot nuts thing
Well, I
to
think
film ball.
next time we're going to do spicy chocolate. I think.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
Yeah, that's.
I'm actually going to.
We've also done habanero whiskey.
Well,
and-
Yeah, and here's what's really funny is Zach is the one who takes the most like displeasure out of the whole thing, but his girlfriend shares links with us for spicy stuff all the time because she cracks up at his pain.
Yeah.
that, having a girlfriend, that's legit. That happens.
Yeah, it does.
The day I realized that I cannot do this and KJ can, we went to Hattie B's. So we got like a mild, a medium, and a hot. And I took one bite of the hot, and she was like, "Are you okay? Zach, are you okay?" And like a tear is just rolling down my cheek, and I'm like, "That's really hot."
Yeah. That there's no joke. And when you go to a hot chicken place, you don't go for hot unless
Yeah,
you work.
You don't
up
do
to
Unless
it.
you're
You know,
challenging
it's a-
yourself.
Yeah,
Push
Yeah.
myself. It
You
turns
gotta
out
know-
mild
yeah.
was pushing myself.
You
Yeah,
gotta know
yeah.
where you're getting into.
It starts
Exactly.
hot, and then
in
it
all
goes to
fairness,
nuclear.
I go to
eventually.
Prince's, I get the plain.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
still pretty hot.
well, and when I go to Prince's, I do get the medium,
Now
but
that-
that's as
now
far as I
going
need to
back.
go.
Yeah.
Before you transition into that, we got to talk about one other thing.
What?
The night that I almost killed Mike.
Oh yeah. all right. So we should. This was when we were in actually the house that was on
Right.
this property.
Before he tore it down.
Yeah,
Before,
the yellow
before we
house.
built this one, we had our own podcast room there too, and we were doing a show. And I think you had messaged me that you wanted to come.
I
And
had said something. Well, it was,
Oh,
you guys
this
were
one.
Google. You guys were like doing. It was the Google Hangout.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had it on my phone, and it was one of those things.
And
that
you
was
jumped
in
into the
middle-
hangout.
Yeah, I was in the hangout. Well, the thing is I was driving, watching it
Yeah.
the entire time, and so in the bottom on the Google Hangout, it would show you everybody that was
Yeah,
there.
so I'm looking down in the corner and I
And,
can
like,
see
yeah,
where
and,
you
like,
are because you're streaming it the whole time.
I'm going into like a convenience store at one point. I'm going this blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. I pulled up, and the thing is I pulled up outside of the house, and I took the camera and like pointed it like at
Yeah.
the house.
But no one else was
Nobody
looking.
saw it.
Nico,
and
I
I
think,
walked.
might
But
have-
even like if
Yeah,
you go
Nico
back,
caught it.
I
was
saw it
one
out
of
the window.
I was
Yeah.
one of those things of like, I had it like, so it was like if you were watching the stream, you could see it was like it was like Halloween or something like this. The first person of walking up to the door and looking over, and originally I was like, well, I'll just go over here and I'll knock on the window, and yeah. But I remember that a lot of times you didn't lock the front door.
Yeah, I usually
Whenever
don't when you guys are
and
coming
so
over.
I opened the door, and of course you had, or I think this was actually before you had the alarm.
It was.
And so
Yeah.
I opened the door. I'm like,
That's
oh,
why he has the
it's
alarm.
open.
So why have it now? Yeah.
So I opened, I walked in, and the door to the room you were podcasting in was just slightly open, and I could see Zach. And he looked up and saw me, and I'm like, shh. And like Zach, he keeps looking, and he's like, and he like, I can like.
Yeah, and when you look back at that feed, you can see Zach looking over. Like,
I'm like, any minute
this.
Zach is gonna blow this. Like he's gonna like, and he started to say
Which
something,
is par for
and
the
he
course
was like,
for Zach.
"Hey guys!" And by the time he said, "Hey guys," I busted the room. I'm like, "All right, put your hands up." And
Mike, I have never seen your eyes so big. It was
Mike
like
was gonna
this.
have a heart attack. he was sitting there. He was playing, and he just like fell over like that. I mean,
All we got was the traditional Mike.
It was really funny.
Everybody was laughing, talking, whatever, and Mike was quiet for like 10 minutes.
But I've gone back and watched that so many times on the
It's
YouTube.
so
It was just like, that
funny.
is so funny. Just
man.
watch his like it just this look of like this is it. This is it. This is
Yeah.
it.
This is how I go.
So what I was going to transition into, I remember before we did Google Hangouts, we also did Ustream. We did that
Yeah,
for a
we
while because
did.
Justine was on Ustream and whatever, so
Yeah.
I got us there first, and that was from the recommendation of Michelle, who has been listening to has been listening probably since close to the beginning when we were just audio, and she would send me messages, and she still does. If she
Yeah,
sees
that's what
something
I'll say.
really cool, she'll be like, "You guys should do this. You should do that." And,
There's
and I look
hardly-
at
She's one. She's
There's
one of our
hardly
more.
an episode that goes by that we don't get a
Some kind of
notification
message
and
or
we
She's
all
one of our
like,
most
"Oh,
frequent.
yeah, there was two in here
Posters
now. I
on
bet
the
one of them is her. So, also someone who has been a constant listener. He doesn't listen as regularly as he used to because he got married and he's got kids now and he's got his whole thing going. Is Bill? And now the reason I bring up Bill is because he had huge impact on the show because he and I were in a chat after the show one night and he was like, "You guys should do something like fantasy football on your show." And I'm like, yeah, but only one of us watches football.
Yeah,
and out of that
it's not you.
conversation, back and forth with him sprung fantasy film ball.
Right.
And
And I
it's
think
because of
it's-
him that's where, when we started that, I don't even
Yeah.
know how many years we've been doing it
Oh,
now.
a long-
A
well,
long
it was,
time.
it was-
I can
it-
tell you the first
Year
year
before
we did
Avengers.
it.
No, it was
no,
the
the
year of
first year.
Avengers.
The first year we did it because I won that game was the first Hunger Games. That is the first because I took that movie and it crushed everything.
Yeah,
that
that's
So that was we started in the fall. Then
Yeah.
it wasn't the summer.
whenever that movie came out, I
That would have
remember
been the fall because those came out in like November or something
Yeah.
like that. Because I know the year that the Avengers came out.
Yeah.
What's his name?
John.
John.
John
John.
was playing with us.
He was
and-
playing by
He took that
Facebook.
one like
Yeah.
he
had-
put like 95 like out of the $100 he put like 90 in.
He had two
something
movies.
Like, yeah.
He had Avengers and that Joseph Gordon-Levitt bike messenger movie. I think
That's right.
And
Which made no
that-
money, but it didn't matter.
No, I think he may have had a third
No,
like
he
a
did.
horror
It was
movie.
some horror movie that made just enough to beat
Yeah.
me long because I had The Dark Knight Rises
Yeah.
and several other like higher profile things.
But it was like down to the last minute.
It
down
did.
to
It
those
came
last
down to
weeks.
the last week. It's like I was like I literally if you go back and listen, to
Oh,
it, I'm
God.
like I'm singing I am the champion and all
You had
this
it on your
stuff
phone,
for like
just
2
play the
weeks.
audio,
For like
yeah.
2 weeks, I'm like I've got.
You know
this,
what it
I've got
was?
This, I've got
It was
this.
because you did have it, but that horror movie made
I know.
$18 million
I know.
or something.
And I ended up losing. I lost by what $600,000,
Something like
that. It was so
something. I mean,
close.
it
It was
like
under $1
just-
million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was So
So
Yeah.
between John and then Dwayne broke the game too, doing the same thing, putting all of his money in the biggest
him
game.
And was it Hector?
Hector,
you and Hector that did it?
It was me
no,
and
Hector
John.
and Mike
You and
played the
John?
same
You and,
game.
you and John like bid at the same time, and we had to do
Had to split it.
Had to split for Days of Future
We
Past.
did.
Well, I know-
No, it wasn't because it was the winning movie, and I want to
It
say
was the winning
Star
movie.
Wars.
I think it was a Star Wars.
Oh
was
yeah,
a Star
it
Wars
was Star
movie.
Wars.
So if you're listening to this now and you don't know, Fantasy Film Ball basically is we take 4 months of the year, we get $100 virtual bucks, and we bid on the movies out of that are coming out that we think are going to make the most money.
Yep.
And it turned into this thing where it's taken us a long time to figure out how to break it. And we finally broke it.
And Dwayne figured it out
Well,
really
no.
quickly.
No, I mean how to break that winning ability.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
even I did it the last game, and I immediately felt guilt about it because we were drawing movies. We
Right.
randomized the movies we were drawing, and then Avengers came up, and I just said $100. Tina looked at
Okay.
me like she was ready to kill me.
Nico and I were actually playing the game. We were like bidding each
Right.
other out.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun.
Right.
Steven over here is like $100.
Well,
Yeah, like I was ready to do
I'm
that,
sorry,
but
if,
then you just
if I had been here, I would have tried to
Well,
do the same
yeah.
thing.
well, and what, I wasn't
because
even.
That's,
But what was funny is I wasn't even trying to do it. But the movies I had tried to get had been bid up and taken from me, And I knew everybody was going to go full on, so I just said it. And then right after I said it, I immediately felt a little bit of guilt because I'm like, no one's winning this game but me now.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it's like-
but after
Yeah.
we got to the end of that film ball and you won,
Yeah.
there goes the guilt.
There goes the guilt. Yeah. So finally, though, I do think we have a way to kind of break that winning
Yeah.
thing. Now what we do, we randomize
randomly draw.
we randomly draw, but
Which
also
I'm glad finally did that.
well, but we do other thing. We do
Yeah.
one other thing too. Is used to be it would be movies that we wouldn't normally play in our set.
Right.
Like it would be a romantic comedy or something. We would take those and put them into wild card at the end so people could try and spend up their last money. Now what we do is we look at the
We
top
take them-
4 biggest
yeah.
movies of the block and put those in the wild card.
And then we put like 3
Well,
like,
yeah, we
really
put
bad
like the
ones.
top like couple, and then also also the ones that don't match, so that if you go for the wild card, you're either possibly going to get Avengers or you're going to
Dog's
get
Journey.
you're going to
Yeah.
get A Dog's Journey. Which
Right.
did
So
not
if you
work,
pin all of your $100 on the wild cards, the only thing you can do is what Tuna tried to do is break up her money and get all 4 of the wild cards. She did try to. It didn't work out for her, but she got.
I'm sorry, who's in the lead right now?
Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see after.
I can tell you, it sure ain't Zach with his Detective Pikachu.
And, you know, and one of the things that we learned early on with that is that if there's a movie that you're really looking forward to seeing, that doesn't necessarily mean it's something
It's
you
probably
want to
not-
go for because
Well, and it's
there's
just
been plenty of
Don't
those
do
like
the passion
blah, blah,
play. Yeah.
When we talk about Titanic coming back out in 3D, I think I paid some stupid amount of money for it, thinking, "Oh, everybody's going to go
And
back
no
to see
one
it
went
again."
to see
Nobody-
it.
But we also did the same thing whenever they re-released like the Phantom Menace in 3D and different
Yeah.
stuff like that. Nobody went and saw them. And that year, and that one, I believe it was what was the big movie that? It was some that nobody saw coming. You know, there's been stuff like
Well, that's how-
Interstellar or
That's how I won the first game. Is no one thought Hunger Games was going to be that
Right,
big, but
right.
me. I just knew
Well,
because I'd heard the books were popular.
I gave Hector the game one time because I didn't. He put all of everything that he had on the Hunger Game. Like it came down to like $48 or something like that, and I could have gone that $1 more and taken it.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'll pick up some other stuff in December and he wound up winning because I was like,
Yeah.
dang it, I should have just spent
Now
the $1.
we
You know,
all
it's-
we all have our own method to how to play this game. I'm
Yeah,
not
I never
exactly
really-
sure what you
I
guys'
don't
method
play
is.
I don't play to win. I play to screw someone else over, and each time it's somebody
It's-
different.
Usually it's Zach.
No,
unless
usually it's Nico.
It's
Zach
actually
was
no.
a-
It's always going to be.
But Zach was a happy
Tina
accident.
plays to screw 2 people over, Nico and random.
Right.
Like this time it was
That's
like
why
Nico
it's
and
hard to
Zach.
predict what she's gonna
Yeah,
do.
last time it was like Nico and Nathan. It's always changes up.
Well, this is what happened in the most recent bidding, though, Alan. You weren't here. Is I could just tell she plotted to put as much money as she could into Spider-Man because she knew that was going to be a passion bid for Nico,
and-
and
yeah.
she bid him all the way up on that movie.
So frustrating.
But what was really great is Zach thought that he was going to like bid everybody up on Detective Pikachu, and he was bidding it up, boy. And then I think it was Tina.
No, it was Mike. That
it was
Mike.
Mike. Mike was like, no. Zach was like, really?
And
He's
nobody
like,
else
"No."
bid on it. And then John Wick 3
John Wick 3
came
was the
out.
best one.
Man.
Yeah.
And so I was going, hardcore into it. And Zach was like, finally, I got somebody. And we going and going and going. And finally he's like, 42. And I'm like, he can have it. He goes, no!
And then I called the end of the bid, and Tina was like, gotcha.
Because that was the last one I was going to go before giving it away.
Yeah.
Right.
See, I find it more fun to try to get someone else to outbid someone because that way you're not spending your own money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dwayne
You are-
is playing the metagame. You should get that. you should do that.
Oh, that's going to be a really
Steven
good
stopped talking to me for
blockbuster.
about 3 months
Oh.
because I had Nathan outbid him on a movie.
I
That
was
he
so
really-
pissed
I
off
had
about
several times
that.
sat down,
Oh, so
you know,
mad
sat
about
down
that.
with the list and been like, this is one Steven's gonna want, and so I
Yeah.
would purposely bid, and it's always funny because you always because Steven starts cussing out, and when he starts cussing, I'm like, got him,
Damn it! Oh, it makes me so mad. But this last game was pretty great.
It was
Oh, it was one of the best ones.
It made Mike's game and Hector's game more important because I call it they play the catfish
catfishing.
game.
Yeah.
They're bottom
Oh, yeah.
feeding. They're trying to
Yeah.
get all the cheap movies.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's-
it
Well,
made
Mike
that game
won
have
one
more.
year doing that though.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And Hector's one doing
Yeah.
it.
Hector's
Hector's
one
won
doing it
multiple
too.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't really do it with the summer.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Well,
no.
you kind of can now if you get the right opportunity at
Right.
wild cards at the
Well,
end.
even after we went to the where it was a draw rather than just going straight down. Though this one comes out first, second. I hated that from the beginning
Yeah, because everybody would save it for that big one towards the bottom.
Or it's one of those things where, like with Avengers being first.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like you automatically know you're out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well now I got to completely do. Whereas if it's a draw or if it's like I had suggested, which was everybody like nominate something, just a random, and then you go down, and so you know what's still out there, and so you're still in play for some of those bigger movies, But the other thing is you sit down there, and I would always sit down, and I had my A, B, and C and D tier stuff.
Yeah, it's just kind of what I did too.
Yeah.
I had my main ones I want, then secondary and third.
Sometimes
and third ones.
those A's would turn out to be C's, and sometimes those D's would turn out to be B's or something.
Yeah.
Well,
so you just never knew.
I tell you what was a funny game adjustment is we used to play in release order.
Right.
We would just go down month to month in release order, and Zach always thought he had game advantage because he would figure out not only what the expectation. He would go to Google Trends and look at the trend lines and stuff and figure out what was expected of that movie. But he would also look at everything that's coming out the same weekend, which everybody didn't necessarily do. But then he came in, and right when the show started, I said, "Guess what?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "We're random drawing them." He's like, "That was when Zach dropped the F-bomb on the show."
Yeah, because I had no time to prep for that. But then it's like, okay, well, I don't have my computer out in front of me. Let's just do this. So I go all in on this one film. And
you remember Maggie?
Another big one comes out.
Do you remember Maggie?
Like, F.
I remember Maggie. Yeah,
And Zach went all in on Maggie, the Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Yes!
such crap. It got pulled from release schedule. Went
went to
Went to
200
VOD.
DOV, yeah, direct to video. Yeah.
So
That happened. It seemed like about every other one.
Every season it
Yeah, it
happens.
seems like there's something that gets
It's
pulled,
all
gets
Schwarzenegger.
pushed,
Just get a theatrical release.
yeah.
What is this?
we've ran multiple tiers of this.
Yeah, there have been
Oh,
times
yeah.
we had so many people playing that we would do a tier A, which is the primary show people, and then tier B, which was secondary show
viewers
people.
and-
We'd
and
even make
viewers.
it like
That's
if you
right, I was
win on
thinking
tier
for-
B, you get to play with tier A.
Yeah, because we would have
tier.
so listeners like Stephanie and Michelle and
I was in tier B for a while.
yeah, when you weren't on the
Yeah.
show, you played tier B with
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
them.
and that was the whole thing.
And-
Is
and-
whoever won tier B got to come up and play.
That's the
Yeah.
one thing I miss
Tier,
about not doing double tiers, because not only can you win, you could really lose and get bumped to
Yeah.
tier B too,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was
That
a
was
lot of
fun,
fun.
yeah.
And you'd have to work your way back. Of course, I finally bought a trophy that we could all have. Whoever won, take the trophy, could keep it at home.
I believe it.
Zach won it the first year. He was so happy, and he immediately dropped it and broke the
Broke it.
tip off of it. Tell me what happened.
I literally put it. I took a picture of it with my cat.
It's right back there.
And
Tips
went,
broke.
okay, cool. Now it's just gonna go on the shelf here for 6 months, and then all of a sudden, Zach, we need the trophy back. Okay, it broke.
Is that why we call it the
What a
circumcision
crazy
cup?
random
is.
happenstance.
The great thing about the I don't know, it was great or whatever, but interesting about getting sent down to like the second tier. The I was one of the first.
Yeah.
I may have been the first, but it was like we'd been doing it for several years, so it was like easy pickings.
Yeah, because we were
And it
hardcore
was-
bidders.
I don't think I may have had like 12 movies that film ball.
Because no one anticipated.
I don't remember. Yeah, because they weren't used to that type of bidding. They were kind of reticent. But after a couple of film balls, no, it was
they didn't.
it was just as hard as against
we
me
also
against you guys.
the second tier also had a shorter time span.
They did.
Yeah.
They did 3 months.
You
we
dropped-
needed
yeah,
to know
you
the
dropped
winner for
out,
that one
yeah.
sooner, so they had less movies to bid
Yeah.
for. So they would often go more all in. They didn't have the opportunity to get all the bottom feeders because there wasn't a lot of movies.
Right.
The first time it was like shooting fish in a barrel, but that was the one time.
Now, what's really
Figured it
interesting
out
now,
fast.
though, is if we have a lot of people playing in the same tier, you start looking at your list. Oh, I only got 4 movies.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a lot when there's
I think
23 movies and there's 8 people.
Yeah, I think I
playing.
had
Right.
3 this round.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
lot.
I had 3 or
so
4.
it kind of affects the game too. So it continue. I like that we every few games make an adjustment.
Yeah.
because
Continues to
it
evolve.
freshens up the game and
Yeah.
makes it a little more competitive in a different
I like
way.
it. I like it because now, like the next one, Hector's here, so we don't have to wait on that lag anymore.
He
So
can bid
it's
in
gonna
person.
be real good.
Yeah,
Well,
and what I would
here's what's
ultimately
gonna
what I
go.
would like to do with the next one is we've got Hector here. Maybe we bring back the second tier because we could have Stephanie come and bid live. Nathan can bid live. I might even, maybe Catherine's bun is fully cooked. She can come and bid live.
The baby bid.
Exactly. Yeah,
Actually, what we could do instead, have teams.
we could do that. We have not done teams. That's true.
That's
That would be
interesting.
fun.
That is an interesting idea.
That's the only way I could think Tina won't screw me over.
Oh no, I ain't gonna
Oh,
be
no.
on your team.
I was gonna say.
I want to win. I don't know.
See, I don't screw things up, so I'll make Tina a team leader.
It's gonna be like volleyball. Like you're gonna be the last one picked.
Exactly. That actually might be an idea. We should
That's funny.
should actually think about that. So that is not the only game we play. Also, every year we started years back. This is why you were still regular on the show. We started playing the Oscar game,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
and we still do
I
that.
won the first two of them.
You always win the Oscar.
Well,
I didn't the last one. I got crushed the last one I played.
and there's
so-
at least twice, I think. I believe it's twice that Nico and I have
We've
tied to
tied,
win.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because there for a while we weren't bidding on every
No,
line
we're just
item.
doing the big ones.
Well, we've been bidding on everything because it makes it a little more competitive.
Yeah, because
You
there's
know?
a lot of stuff that's you get to the point where
Let's-
it's like all these foreign films that you may not have seen, so you're just kind of shot in the dark.
I didn't listen to this Latin the one
Foreign
for this
short
year. I'm
films.
sure that was
Yeah.
a complete
Yeah.
crap show because those movies were terrible. For,
Yeah.
oh man, it's one of the worst years for Oscars.
Who did was this a year we tied? Or who
I don't
won?
remember.
I don't remember who won this
yeah,
year.
I don't remember either.
Yeah. So that's
I think it was you.
I think it might have
You
been
did
me.
win, yeah, you
Yeah, it was about 1 or 2 though. It was a barely
Yeah.
win.
It was a close match. This
Yeah.
year.
I think the tiebreaker should be in advance. Everybody decides on the number of awards that the best picture will win. We all have that as a number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the thing is like Green Book won what one
Right,
Well,
and
then if you
everyone
chose
anticipated
one,
it to
you
win a
would-
lot.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
or
it's-
two.
So that's kind of I kind of love that last little bit of each year, the sort of December to February, because we're having
We do top 10 movies.
we do our top 10 movies in
Your
December or
Oscar
January,
picks.
Oscar picks, and then there's always
then
in
we
January
always-
there's a film ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always make Zach angry with the Academy Award winning Suicide Squad.
Always Academy Award winning film.
But it's great because we don't have to come up with news story content,
Yeah.
which is great because it's usually slow at the end of the year.
yeah,
It is.
very much.
It
so.
is.
So we don't talk about news story. We talk about all these pre-thought out concepts.
And I used to really look forward to the end of the year.
Yeah.
You know, making
Yeah,
lists
it's still
and
one of my favorite
everything,
things
you know,
because
and that was-
I love
yeah.
to see kind of because we're diverse enough in our choices. I mean, I feel like sometimes, especially me and Nico, are really close on a lot of stuff.
Oh man,
but
especially
we're
when
still
like,
pretty
Movie
diverse
Pass
on the-
came out.
that
When
changed
Movie
everything.
Pass came out,
Oh,
like
man.
our top 10 list went crazy.
Movie Pass
Yeah.
has to be the top story topic of 2018.
It has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has
I
to
mean,
be.
the,
But,
the
I mean-
sudden rise and sudden fall.
Yes.
I mean, just yeah. I mean,
That was the great thing about having such a diverse top 10 list because it's like I'd walk away with a list of films that's like, well, I need to check these out.
Yeah.
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 Talk about
Yeah.
doing things not planned, but like at the exact same time. Was the year that it was either year. I think it was year 2017. Maybe was the year that Black Hat came out.
I knew it. I knew it the moment you said Nathan, it was going to be
And
Black Hat.
Nathan made Black Hat
It was
his
2014.
2014.
Yeah, it
Okay,
was that
so
long.
that was the year Nathan made Black Hat his number one pick of the
Was it
year.
number one? I thought I knew it was in the list.
No, it was number one.
Critically
And-
panned, like universally
Well,
panned movie.
well, it
you
was
know?
it was double painful because I love Michael Mann.
Yeah.
And so Zach and I went to the theater and saw it, and it was god awful. And it's just weird that when he said that, Zach and I stood up simultaneously and walked out. Left the show.
That was even an episode.
Yeah,
we had
went-
we had an episode about you guys just panning the Black Hat.
Yeah.
we got an advanced screening.
But you know, there was also when we did in 2012 when we did our best of the year. You know, because you and I mean, every once in a while we still, you know, I'll bring up the subject and we'll argue about the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where we're all doing our final, our end of the year, and like it wasn't on anyone's except for mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it like I think I put it number 2 behind the Avengers or
Like,
something like that.
you mean the Joker
And-
movie?
Yeah, and it was just like
no,
Rises.
The Bane.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that movie sucks.
Yeah, and see, but that was one of those things where you were like, right before I did my pick, you were like, I am so happy that nobody put the Dark Knight Rises on.
Yeah.
And I go, well,
Oh, man,
funny
yeah.
you say that.
Because we was back in the apartment. I remember that distinctly.
I
I hate that movie.
I hate that movie. And I own it because I bought the Nolan box.
Well, I mean, there's a couple good scenes in that.
I mean, there were, yeah.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
not Batman and Robin.
There's a
I mean,
fight.
Come on,
Well,
okay?
There's
true.
there's no bat nipples.
Right.
That
so, I
is-
mean,
Let's be real. Bat nibbles are not the biggest problem.
No, I agree. They're
Hell,
not.
hell,
Yeah.
it's not even
Far.
Batman v Superman. Let's put it that way.
That's-
I mean, that's
Yes.
you
Fair.
know, I mean,
That is a
it's just
fair
kind of a
point.
Which,
mid-level.
again,
Suddenly, the
you
movie
know?
starts looking better. and better.
Exactly. I mean, that's it.
Even
It
though-
always
By
be worse.
comparison.
Even
It
though
can
I
always
still
be
don't know
worse.
what the hell Bane is saying through the
Yeah.
entire movie.
He's saying,
At least
Exactly.
Batman and Robin, like, well, it was Schumacher, right?
Yeah, it was Schumacher.
Yeah, you know, he's come out and said, "Yeah, I just want to make that movie as gay as possible."
Yeah.
It succeeded.
And
What's
yeah,
really
yeah.
funny
Yeah.
is George Clooney has come out and apologized
Oh,
for
I know.
Yeah.
so many times
Well,
for
George
this.
Schumacher
Clooney
has
says
said
that's
that
his
it was
biggest
one of those
mistake.
things that during the production that he would get notes from the studio, and they were like, "Hey, you need to come up with another scene where they're in a different costume so we can sell some more toys."
Yeah.
And that literally is what that movie was just, hey, we're selling action figures. That's
Well, 'cause-
all this is.
But, well, I mean, they came out of like Batman Forever, where there was a Batman costume change
Right.
in the middle of that one.
But that was not a.
No,
It's not a horrible movie.
No,
it's not a good movie,
it's
but
not
it's not
good.
a horrible.
It's
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
level
yeah,
back,
to
but,
compare it to.
but
Yeah,
it's still
exactly.
I think broke box office records at
Right,
the time.
right.
It was a bigger opening weekend than Batman and Batman Returns.
Yeah.
and that costume change, like that had a lot of toys behind it. Batman
really
Forever.
did, yeah.
Like all the Batman
Have
movies.
you all
do.
seen the director's cut of Batman Forever?
No.
It's drastically different.
Oh, well, imagine.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
would.
the
I did not know there was a
So
director's cut.
so I want to
Right now.
drive it back.
Oh, sorry,
Drive it back
Batman.
on topic. It's
At
talking
least it's not
about
Star Wars.
right. Talking about our top 10 picks though for the year. The one that triggers Zach, I think, even more than Black Hat is
Here it comes.
Dwayne's
Dwayne's-
pick. Dwayne's pick
Oh,
of
yeah.
movie 43.
Oh my god, the movie's so
I still think it's
bad.
it's bad, but it's bad in a good way.
I remind
No, it's
myself.
bad in a bad way.
Come on, Hugh Jackman's got a big sack on his neck. Come on.
And it's funny.
I love
seeing
yeah, I love seeing the spikes in the audio.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting Catherine territory.
Thanks,
here.
Zach.
Come on, this is.
Well, let me just scream away. From
That dude's about to poop on his girlfriend, and then he gets hit by a car. Hilarious! I mean, it is total juvenile humor, but it's
Is
funny.
it top 10 quality?
Probably not. I didn't see a lot of
Hey,
movies. that year.
Dwayne only saw 8 movies that year.
That's why I've been on there twice.
Hey, there were years when we would do our top 10s. I'm like, I can only give you what I've seen.
Yeah.
I can't, you know.
Well,
That's different. If you have that knowing
Yeah,
going
it's
in,
I'll say this. Choosing 4 movies to cut from your list of 14 is a lot easier than trying to decide on your 10 best.
Yeah, I know. It's true.
All I have to decide on is the 4 that I hate the most.
But
Right.
one of my favorite things, and one of the most stressful things, but also one of my favorite things, is getting to the end of the year when we realize, okay, time to crunch. I need to watch a lot of movies.
I do that with
Yeah.
Like what's
Yeah, we
what's in the
will-
theaters? What's at
yeah.
Redbox? What's
Right.
at digital rental?
Right.
Yeah, we will go like weekends where we
Like-
do not leave the house.
Like there was the one year that Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Tintin were out, and I double featured those in the wrong order. It was like, I went in for Tintin first, and it's like, oh, this is such a feel-good happy movie, and I didn't realize Daniel Craig was also in this movie. And then Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is like, oh man, this is
Oh.
good.
They put it in the trailer, the feel bad movie of
It,
the year.
it was
I mean,
right.
that's-
It was entirely accurate.
That is always so funny is because I do the same thing.
the second rape scene wasn't happy enough for you.
If it didn't come, I'm not going to comment to that. if it didn't come to the theater during its regular run, and I feel like I should see it before we do our top 10s, I crunch it. I do the same
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
And when I'm following Facebook, I'll see Nico's post. I'm watching this. I'm doing the same
Right,
thing. It's
right.
Mike used to do that
I
too.
used to do
You know what
yeah.
we should do this year? We should get together a list of the movies we collectively haven't seen
And come over here and watch them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good, yeah.
I'm fine with that. we
be
could just
fun.
order
Well, I'll tell you-
pizzas and watch movies all day. I'm
Something-
fine with that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's do
something else to note of the 11 years we've been doing this is things that have come and gone. Like I was saying,
Yeah.
like when we first
In memoriam.
In memoriam.
Well, I mean, but like when like I said, we were less than a year into this when Twitter took off,
Yeah.
and Twitter was a huge thing.
And now Twitter is a
took
cesspool.
over. MySpace was the big thing when we first started.
When we first
this,
started, yeah.
and then Facebook took off, and it's been we've seen Google Plus come and go. You know,
We've seen lots of Google things.
Yeah, I know. But movie pass, different stuff. We saw Lost in. We saw new Star Wars movies. We saw. I mean,
We had the hope of Star Wars, and
We've been
death of Star
disappointed by new
Exactly.
Star Wars movies.
We've
I
had
haven't.
We had the Avengers.
well, yeah, we've had that. Not to belittle
that
that.
was the whole thing.
Yeah.
We started. One of the first things we covered on this was Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the very first episodes that we ever did was
Yeah.
Iron Man, and at that point it was when Kevin Feige gave that speech saying, "Yeah, we're looking at making these other movies." And then possibly having an Avengers movie at the end. And we were like, there's no way they're going to make 5 movies and then have like one movie that...
Well, I questioned starting... I always loved Iron Man, but I questioned starting with Iron Man because I thought... I always
No one
looked at
cares
him,
about Iron Man.
Right.
He's such a
Yeah.
B-level hero.
Right.
I always thought Iron Man and Thor were kind of like the B-level heroes that were real cool in the Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They're
but
not going to hold something on their own.
And what was funny is that every time that we would get production stills from one of the one of those movies, Thor or Captain
Thor
America, the
looks
first
horrible.
Avenger or whatever, we're going, man, this looks terrible.
I
It's
remember,
going to go
yeah.
off the rails. This is going to be the one. This is where it's going to go off the rails. And every time we'd come away going, oh my god, they did it.
The first shots of the Thor costumes looked awful, and then
Yeah.
the first trailer came out. I was like, oh, actually, this
Yeah.
looks pretty
And
good.
then we get Avengers. And
Yeah,
that
was
movie
so-
just
And
blows
we were in the theater
everyone's
together.
mind.
yeah, because we got the
We did.
event
We had the-
screening in the
yeah.
IMAX.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that is
Yeah.
one thing that we've kind of gotten away from that I think we should do is
Doing
kind of
movies
going things as a
together.
podcast.
Yeah.
I liked doing that. Well,
Yeah.
Well, no, we saw Watchmen together.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
of us.
and
you know?
giant
But that's been a
blue
long time ago.
penis.
Yeah.
That was in 2009.
So,
Yeah, that
so
was 10
one
years
that
ago.
I referenced, not all of us did, but it was one of our first live streams, and I forgot to get to that earlier. One of the very first live streams we did was when we went to, I know it was me and Zach, and I know someone else went. I just don't remember who it was. When we went and saw the Troll.
Oh, yeah, you
and,
went
and
to see
then
the-
and the Best Worst Movie
Yeah,
combo.
no, yeah,
I did
go-
not
yeah,
go to that.
yeah.
No, you didn't go to that?
I wanted to so
I was
bad.
there for that.
Maybe it was me and you because we live streamed. I think you did too because I think.
That was around the time. my
Remember
parents
they
were not letting
Skyped
me
in like
outside.
the director of Troll of the
No,
documentary.
yeah,
The
Dentist.
director was the
Yeah, it was the dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The guy that
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, so we live streamed in front of the theater, and then right outside the theater before we went and sat down. That was one of our very first, like, Ustream kind of weird
Right.
things that we did. And that stuff is cool because I love to be able to, when we talk about stuff fresh after we saw it.
Yeah.
You know, because your perspective does change as things settle.
And we try to do that with somewhat movies, but we don't necessarily do it together. But we still try to do a fairly quick turnaround of something that just came out this weekend.
Yeah,
Try
we
to
can
talk
see it the
about
week, the weekend it comes out.
Like
so
we
we
had
can
a
talk on
boys
Wednesday.
the whole talk down pretty much. And
Yeah.
what was the other thing? It was a movie. Oh, we did the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood this last episode.
Yeah.
I think one of the first shows
Yeah.
I was on was me, you, and Alan went to see Star Trek Into Darkness, and
Yeah.
then we came back to
Oh,
the
I
apartment
remember
and
that
did a
one.
show.
And did a show. Yeah, that's
We
right.
loved that movie at the time.
Yeah, it was like
That is exactly like you
We
said,
we fell
where
off a little bit.
your opinion changes after time goes
I watched
on.
that movie a second time and I was like, "Ooh."
It's funny because
I watched that movie the first time,
from-
and I
from-
was like that.
You know, the reason I actually liked it the first time though was I was kind of taken aback by the IMAX footage.
Oh, it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's a
I
pretty movie.
got suckered because I was like,
I cackled during that movie at like one of the most, that switch around where it's, Kirk instead
yeah.
I cackled in the theater and
Yeah.
like people were so mad at me. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Speaking of which, welcome to our review of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
"Oh, yeah, we should save that for a
We
regular
should
show."
save that for a regular
Yeah,
show.
because Zach and I
don't go see it because I was
Well,
planning to.
short
at some
term,
point.
the short answer is I
Do
gave
you
it.
have the Regal Pass?
Not yet.
Then
You
don't go
should
see
not
it.
see
Okay.
it.
It was a 1.5
Okay,
to 2 out of 5 for me.
What's funny is that this week was the 10th anniversary of the G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra.
I saw
coming
that.
out.
yeah.
And what's funny is I remember we were at Comic City 2 talking about that, and I was like, I liked it. It was, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, if you listened over the next few weeks, every time it would come up, I was like, man, that movie was really bad. Like,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
like,
I do remember
as
that.
time would go on, it was like, that movie really sucked. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, it took, like, several weeks of thinking about it before I was like, no, I don't like that. That was not nice. But that jarred my memory when I saw
And
that.
we spent years of Alan constantly trying to trigger me about freaking Avatar. Because Avatar remains,
We're
and
gonna
I
get to that,
stand by,
yes.
I stand by the fact that Avatar is historic in a cinematic experience. Story-wise,
I'll give you
okay, but it was one of my favorite cinematic experiences in IMAX 3D.
Is now a good time to tell you I've never seen Avatar?
It's fine. No,
It's
you
all
don't
right.
need to.
If you didn't see it then
If
in the
you
IMAX,
didn't see
no
it
point.
then and in the theater, you really don't need to see it.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you
Honestly,
did not see Avatar in an IMAX 3D environment,
it's not really.
Which
it's not really-
I didn't see it
Yeah.
IMAX. I did see it
Holy
3D.
crap.
You know,
I
but-
saw it in IMAX 3D,
and it was gorgeous. I mean,
And
I'll give you
the-
that.
what,
But
compared
the
to
screen is that big. It
So
was just like,
we're in the 10th year anniversary of Avatar now.
coming
Yeah.
up in December, yeah.
They really should do a re-release.
No,
oh, they're gonna.
I'm sure they will, but the funny thing is going to be whether anybody goes and sees it, because
Well-
that's been a thing. It started with Slash Film, and it's gone with like a whole bunch of other people in the last 2 or 3 years when they started announcing they were going to do sequels. And you know, one of the reasons that we started doing this was a Totally Rad show. You know, and,
Yeah,
and
we loved it.
Jeff Kanata, who was on
Yeah.
there, is on Slash Film.
Yeah.
Has been for years, and he's the one that came out and said, you know, has there ever been a movie that has done so well, but has zero cultural relevance now?
Yeah.
And it's like you know, because you think about like the last time before that we had a movie like that impactful, it was Titanic.
Yeah.
And you still heard people say, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm the king of the world, or I'll never let go, or whatever, you know, whatever. There was
Arguing
always
about the
stuff.
size
Well,
of the
and-
door.
and- and-
always
to be
something.
fair, you can't actually even make a sequel about that one.
Exactly.
Right.
But the thing is with Avatar, it came and it was
Depends.
this huge thing, and then it went away.
Yeah, and there's no
And that
real.
was it.
Well, but
And
this-
it
There's
was-
no real mimification of
Yeah.
Avatar.
But this
I
is-
never heard anybody say
Nobody-
I
nobody
see
makes
you or any
memes.
of that kind of stuff.
But this
you
is
know.
what's really weird about that, because at the same time, Disney spent $1 billion
Disney did do that. I know.
opening
which is
an
weird.
Avatar
So it's-
world.
Is this still around?
Been
It's
there.
still
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Which is
Oh,
weird,
yeah.
you
I've
know.
been
And
there.
of course, they've pushed those sequels several times. You
So
know,
about
Oh,
the
I mean-
sequel to Titanic, I'm just saying they're having a second Titanic ship
Yeah.
that is being built. So who knows?
yeah,
We
maybe it'll
could
sink,
get a
and we'll get a Titanic too.
How
Right?
is it
That's
we
like-
don't have a Tron ride in the States and we've got
Yeah, I know,
Avatar
I know,
built
I know.
as we speak.
Anyway,
Thank goodness.
with us being so adversarial on that,
Yeah.
there was actually an episode where like I really got under Steven's skin about it. I mean,
Oh,
like
one episode,
There
one.
was one in particular. I really got under his skin. I mean, like got under his skin. And so we're. I mean, he was like red
Yeah,
mad,
because
you know?
I'm trying to talk about other things, and he's trolling me. You know,
So-
yeah, it's not like Avatar. I'm
I
like,
know.
listen, we're not even talking about Avatar right now.
So at one point, so we kind of like backed off of it.
I
So at
remember
one point, Steven was like, "Man, I gotta go to the bathroom." So he gets up and goes to the bathroom. We're still at Comic City, and when he goes in there, I look over. I'm like, "Avatar is one of the worst pieces of crap I've ever seen in my life. I don't care what Steven says, it sucks." And then he came back.
Yeah.
Okay, and then went through it, blah blah blah,
remember this.
posted everything,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. So the next week, and Mike and I are laughing about it. You know,
Yeah.
we were just like, okay. So like the next week, we're sitting there and like we're going through it, and we're getting ready to start the show. And I was like, "So, did you go back and listen to the episode, Steven?" He's like, "No." And I was like, "Okay. You probably should at some point." And of course, Mike and I start laughing. He's like, "What? What?" He's like starting to get like all agitated again.
Steven's learned not to
Kind
do
of like
that
he is right now.
I'm actually not agitated right now.
Okay, so like he starts going off and he's like, blah, blah, blah. It's
it
like,
made
you know,
me
this
so
is
mad.
like you it's my podcast and you're not making and you know and you make it no fun to come in here and do this and blah 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 blah. And then he like went and like pulled the file down and like edited it out and put it
I
back
did.
there.
Yeah, because that's what he wanted.
But still, but think about this though. 10 years ago, Avatar came out. largest box office ever.
Yeah, still.
It's 2 now.
Yeah.
Did you ever think a decade ago that it would be beaten, not just beaten, but by a comic book movie,
Right.
by an
Exactly.
Avengers movie?
Right, and it's
The fourth Avengers
Avengers
movie.
movie.
yeah, and here's
4.5.
well, but
so
here's what's really interesting about that is Avatar generally was in the spot it was in because of the cinematic evolution that
Yeah.
it made. Well,
It brought digital cinema.
right. So
Into
then
theaters.
the Avengers movie that beat it was another culmination of the evolution of cinema. No one has ever done this shared universe into the length and depth that they've done it, and it all culminated with that film. So I love the fact that it was a movie that had that kind of cinematic impact that took that spot. Although it's not going to last.
No, it's
because I've said this.
No,
They're
no.
going to reissue the first Avatar either on the 10-year anniversary or right
Right
before
before
the
the
new one
sequel,
comes out,
yeah. They're both.
and then it'll take it right back because
Maybe.
Avengers only owns it by not even 100 million.
Yeah, but
it's
then-
not even.
but then
But it
$100
depends.
billion.
But then they'll re-release Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
It's gonna go
I mean,
more.
honestly, it depends on who wants to go back and see it again.
It's all-
I mean, that's
They're
what it
gonna
comes down
re-release
to.
Those numbers anyway.
I know.
Because if you adjust it for inflation, Gone with the Wind still
Yeah.
stomps everything.
Because
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
comes down to number of tickets actually sold. Whereas with both Avatar and the Avengers, you're looking at IMAX and 3D
Yeah.
and and all the stuff. That's another thing. When we started this podcast, was right whenever everybody decided, hey, 3D should be in everything should be in 3D.
Oh my god!
And I got so sick that television. We're going to do 3D televisions of all. How many
started
people on
getting
3D
motion
television
sick.
now?
Remember when
It's
we used to do a couple episodes where we would like watch a movie and then
yes,
have a
like
show.
versus.
Yeah,
I
the
know,
versus
I know.
because I remember when
Mom needs mom. Mars needs moms. Yeah.
we
we
had that
did Drive
3D.
Angry too.
That
That
was
was a
terrible.
good one.
Drive
I
Angry
was going to
2
say, Drive
was a
Angry
great
was one of those we came away from, all of us going, oh, that movie was awesome.
There was really no
that movie
verses
was awesome.
because
I
we all
know.
loved it. Yeah,
But we
What-
watched the Roger Corman Captain America.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
The
what
90s
else
cap
did-
was all. Oh man, that one was
What didn't
awful.
we watch
Probably
the
was.
Corman Fantastic Four? Didn't
I
we do
wasn't
that?
here for
No,
that.
I don't think we
wasn't
did.
here for
I would
that.
like to, but we didn't.
I know we watched that Captain America and Mom Needs Mars or Mars
Mom-
Needs Moms
and
and,
then,
Drive
yeah.
Angry. It seems like there was another one that we
does.
watched.
Yeah.
Well,
that,
we became, outside of the podcast, it became a thing for me and Mike and Zach and other people to come over to the house and get hammered and watch movies in 3D, and that is
And now
fun.
you have a theater.
but it does not have 3D.
I mean, yeah, but 3D. Who cares?
But now we just do it without the 3D.
Yeah.
Well, there you
Yeah.
go. So,
Yeah, because 3D, like, there's so few 3D movies that come out now
Right.
on
the
home
gimmicks
video.
died off most.
Yeah,
of
it
In
kinda
the
has.
last,
It did.
in the
It was-
last 3 years, name any 3D film that you're like, it needs to be seen in 3D.
Well, the problem with 3D though is we're getting spoiled by HDR now, so we're used to these bright colors and everything, and you don't get that when you watch 3D. It's washed out. It's dull looking. So
The question still
the answer
remains,
is
sir.
the answer is really none that I can think of.
Here's another one. You remember when we did the story about Netflix buying House of Cards?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Netflix is going to start doing original stuff.
Yeah.
They paid how much for that? This is never going to fly.
And I loved that show.
And
for
what
the
has
first,
Netflix done since then?
Man, that's aged like
Well,
wine.
I mean, we've
I'm
covered,
just talking about
we've
what
covered
has
so
Netflix
much
done
content. Like
since then, you
Netflix has gone through so much evolution because
Right.
there was the time when they did Quickster, when they tried to
Quickster.
branch off,
Yes, I know.
branch
yeah.
off the DVD
I
set,
know.
the rental process, and that bombed.
Yeah.
And
You can
we-
still rent DVDs from them. That
can
Yeah, I was about
I
to say,
know
I
some
still
people.
have
My
March
parents
of the
still
Penguins.
get them that way.
And that
so.
little sleeve that you would get
Yeah.
in the mail, I still have March of the Penguins.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yes.
that's why we don't use her Netflix account.
Probably
They want it
wise.
back.
All right,
They said
I know,
no,
we're-
return.
we've
to
been-
where are we on time, Zach? How long have we been going?
We're at about an hour
45.
45.
All right, we should probably wrap this up because we've done so much over the last
Oh, yes.
500 episodes. It's been so much fun. Like for me, it's been so much fun.
499, we're missing one, remember?
What's
the
that?
Lost episode.
The Lost
That's true. We do have
episode.
our
Revealed for the first
Oh
time.
no! Oh no! Oh no! We made up for that one.
Yeah, I know.
we recorded
Oh,
an
yeah.
extra episode to rebalance that number because we never found that.
That's true.
Um,
No,
we
we've,
did.
we've
didn't we?
made friends, we've lost friends, we've grown
Yeah.
closer as a group.
we've had to kill some
we have,
friends.
and we
tried to
a lot
kill
of us,
some
a
We
lot
had
of
to
us
kill
have.
Dwayne's evil twin Dwight.
No,
Dwight had to be
it was
dealt
the
with.
other way around. We killed Dwayne and Dwight.
Oh,
We kept Dwight.
Yeah,
Okay.
you killed the good
That's
one.
why I left
I mean,
you.
that's debatable.
But I will tell you, I've gone through a lot of stuff in that 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
there were a lot of times where that Wednesday was like the best part of the week for me.
Absolutely.
And that's and that for a lot of reasons is why the show keeps going. Because
Did you ever picture yourself in such a gorgeous
in this
living
house,
room?
no,
Yeah.
I did not.
Well, that's the thing is,
Yeah.
like, Steven, since we started this, you've moved You've moved twice.
No, I moved.
You moved from your house to your
Goodlettsville
apartment.
to the apartment, and the apartment to
here.
to here, and then
But
from
then
here
you moved here to next door
to
while
the
this
Airbnb,
was, while this
and
was
then
being
back
built.
here. Yeah.
But the thing is that this podcast moved from Fazoli's to Comic City 2
To Comic City 2
to
to
Comic City 2
Yeah.
to your apartment to the old house
Yep.
to the
First-
Airbnb to here.
Yeah.
So that's
Man.
8 places.
that I will say that the Airbnb recordings were a struggle.
They were
Because
hard. That was the
Yes.
hardest one.
It was-
Man, that chair.
Yeah.
That one lazy boy chair.
I had to
I
stop
know,
letting you
I
guys
know.
sit in the recliner.
Yeah.
Because Zach would fall asleep.
Yes. And also, it was at a weird angle, so like you would be out of it. Like you'd be
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah,
out of
if you
frame.
leaned all the way
you're just
back.
and you're out of the
I
frame.
hated it
So
because
it's
Zach
like-
would fall asleep and y'all wouldn't let me draw on his face.
No, I would let
I
you.
would've.
Do it right
Yeah,
now.
I don't know why you
You can do it now.
Y'all
I got
said no, don't do that.
I got a Sharpie. You want
Yeah,
to do it
so-
now?
I'll hold him down.
All I wanted was a cat in my lap, and I would have stayed awake.
Let me be clear. I would not have said no. That must have been your boyfriend.
I don't
'cause
think-
would
I
be
don't
like,
remember
No,
saying
I
no.
remember specifically you guys be like, no, wait till after the show. And by after the show, he was already awake.
That would be the show. We'll just
it would
film
be. I would refocus the camera.
And Steven's
For
gonna
that
have to, but you know the funny
Yeah.
thing is what he just said. If you'd let him go to sleep with
Yeah.
the cat and you'd let her draw on his face,
Yeah.
he would have gone to sleep with a pussy in his lap and woke up with a cock on his face. So
That's exactly what would happen. That's it. That is exactly. That's,
Well done.
And on that note,
that's about it.
Bye,
But
Zach.
but I
got it. Yes.
get back in here, boy. We're wrapping up.
Thank you for coming twice. I hate them.
Well, but we love you.
we'll
That's
see. We'll
just
see you
it.
next week.
It's tough. It's tough love,
Yeah.
sir. It's tough love.
Uh-huh.
But
Hey, Nico's just glad it's you now instead of him. I mean, because
exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I just want to say I appreciate all of you guys.
Yeah,
sticking with it,
absolutely.
keeping going with it,
I'm quitting.
helping me fix
This is
it
my
when
last
it's screwed
episode.
up. When I find errors
you're
in it,
you're announcing this is your last
Yep.
episode.
Last
Yeah,
episode.
right?
Bye, everybody.
That's it. But yeah, it's been fun, and we're gonna evolve it and do more stuff and keep going. Because I mean, if at its very smallest
We got
thing,
some ideas going forward
We
that
do.
we want to try out.
and it's a bunch of cool people getting together to talk about crap that we all like to talk about. So why wouldn't we do
Why
it
not?
anyway?
I don't know why we haven't done a network prior to this. Honestly, I mean,
Well,
it's,
there's going to be other shows.
Cool.
This is what's happening. I've been experimenting. You'll see if you look through the feed, you'll see some experimental videos that I've been doing, just kind of getting the feel for what needs
are
to
we gonna
happen.
go on some kind of list if we watch these experimental videos,
Yes.
or is this?
Not even list we're not already on.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
well, never mind. then.
That's my new hobby, to get on as many lists as I can.
Okay, there you go.
Exactly.
Great, I'm
Alright.
signing you up for more. material.
Anybody got anything else before we go?
That's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm
Where can we find you?
happy that we did 500. Hopefully, we do 500 more.
Find
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. All right.
In
Dwayne?
case you don't know.
So currently, you can find me on Instagram under the Hateful Pate, or no, the Lakeful Pate, where I am.
I'm like, you get
White is that, bro?
I'm currently trying to play 100 new board games this year.
And that your
What are you up to? Are you
your New Year's
55?
resolution is it?
59.
Yeah.
59.
Gen Con helped a lot. in
Gen
that.
Con helped.
Exactly.
Gen Con helped a lot. I have played good games. I have played some bad games, but I give.
I need you to play the company that did like the Ghostbusters and the Ninja Turtles game.
Yeah.
Also
Did a
did a Power
Power
Rangers
Rangers.
game that I got.
I saw that.
Yeah.
They're
all kinds of
massive.
things about it.
They are
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
Bring it over here. Well, let's play.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Alan,
Alan?
you got something you want to promote?
Yeah, actually, I do. I'm actually starting a podcast. I'm not starting. I've already started a podcast.
All right.
It's
Yeah.
live now. It's called Project X Podcast. It's me and my friend Dave, and we're kind of doing evergreen stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the first episode, actually, the first two episodes are already out. The first one's about The Crow, and we
Okay.
just talked about The Crow, and the second one is about bands that never broke big.
Okay.
So
cool.
it's
so
that
it's
kind
not
of
just
stuff.
movies.
It's not.
music
No,
and
it's
stuff.
all. It's movies, music, TV. It's life. It's all kinds of stuff. It's not just pop culture. It kind of goes. Since we're a couple of old Gen Xers that are approaching 50, and
That's the name.
All right.
Project X Podcast. You can find it. Project X Pod. We're still trying to get it at this point. By the time this goes live, it'll probably be there. But we've already submitted to iTunes. But it's you can find us at projectxpod.com.
Cool.
And
Okay,
you can get the RSS feed.
So
there.
you can also, and I tried this before and I had trouble with it because it was real buggy at first. And Nico actually suggests I try again, and it looks like they've streamlined it a lot, which is a submission to Spotify. You can submit
Oh
your
yeah,
podcast
that's
to
one.
Spotify too.
Spotify. I've
seems
submitted
like it's much
several
better.
things, so it's
Yeah.
I'm in the process of all of it. So.
Cool, Mikey
Yeah.
boy.
Just if you happen to be under my rock, you can wave and say hi.
Don't go under there.
Yeah.
Don't go under there. You get lost.
Zach?
Zach?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm Master of the Matrix 91. You can also find me on Steam and Twitch as a dangerous mute lunatic.
Nice.
Tina?
Oh, no, Nico.
There you go. You already called out, Tina.
It's already committed.
God damn.
I felt you relaxing, so I had to set you up.
You can find me on Instagram at Novinity Avalon, and you can also find me Twitter at Cheddar Popper. That is CheddarPoppr.
Nico?
All right, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Nico Scream, NIKOSCREAM. You can find me every week here posting comic lists for comics that come out, and I'll discuss them on the show.
Yep.
Except this week.
And you can find me at all things CultureSmash, mostly Facebook, a little bit on Instagram. I got this newfangled thing called Snapchat. I'm trying to like get used to that.
I can't figure it out either.
Yeah,
It's just,
I'm getting there.
you know,
I'm
it's,
getting with it. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
And you can also find a lot of stuff with Family Affair Movie on the Facebook page. The weekend of the 23rd of August, 2019, in case you listen to this 5 years from now, Zach and I will be at CreepyCon in Knoxville showing the film, getting DVDs signed by stars from the film, the whole thing. So that's going to be happening a lot this fall.
Yeah.
So get on that list. I guess we'll see everybody the next episode.
Next episode,
There you go.
yeah.
501.
501.
501.
Bye, everybody.